call before the storm.
Call this meeting in order. All stand face the flag. Pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.G. Donovan.
Here.
Kenny Oaken present. Approval of memorandum. What was that?
Make approval that we approve the minutes of the, what meeting was that?
You mean the meeting we had the other day?
It'll be the 26th and the 27th. You doing both of them?
The 26th. What was the date of the other one?
27th.
Yeah, this is 26th and 27th.
I don't remember being next to each other. I make approval, or make a motion that we approve the minutes of the 26th and 27th regular commissioner meeting and special meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
I'll second the motion to approve claims.
Debate or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
I'll second the motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
What's this approval of memorandum?
Do what?
Same as the minutes.
That was the minutes. The special meetings. Treasurer's report. Florinda was here to take care of this. We don't show that. Usually we have a return on investment. I don't see it on the sheet. We can get it, but that's all we got on that. We're going to move on down and try to think, well, we'll do anything, we'll change on this as far as the progression to get people out here quicker.
There's very many people here for County Road 1150 South and 200 East. That may be one of them.
Okay. Well, we can go ahead and get that one out now if you want to.
That's fine with me.
We had a meeting the other day or last week, and several people attended. We appreciate everyone coming, voicing their concern. Where do we go from here? Just tell them we're going to do it or not, or is that the decision we're going to make tonight?
In part, I would say so.
Okay.
If you will. County Road 1150 South and 200 East, we had a town hall, actually it's a special meeting concerning the investment in that road. We had two issues. One is the culvert issue and the second is a bridge issue. Both of them are related in opening the road in its totality. We had approximately 14 households. There's more than that were present, but there's about 14 households that were actually affected directly by that, best I can tell from the sign-in sheets. The investment is approximately $94,000 plus or minus $1,000, plus the Bridge 31, which has another $80,000 that needs to be invested in it, basically in cross bracing, mud wall, tree removal, riprap, and a problem with the issue with the bridge itself. Some of the issues that we had was the fire rescue that increases their response time approximately 5 minutes. EMS is approximately 5-minute increase. Recommendations from Help Fire Rescue and from the from Help Fire and Rescue that the road is needed for thoroughfare. Response time is too great for fire and EMS. Loss of property value is greater than the investment in the road, or the projected investment in the road. Limited access for a fire apparatus and potential loss of equipment and property is too great, and that potential of firefighters being hurt is too great. Hell Township trustee supported and need for the first responders as well. Kind of reiterated fire rescue issues. And as far as the county goes, there's a previous investment in that road, both in the bridge and the culvert. So those are the positives for that bridge. As far as investment goes, it works out to about be $15,000 per household that's directly affected by it. The one thing that we are missing, and I'd like to try to do that in future references whenever we're looking at these, is what the economic impact is of a road. That's one thing that we don't really have or assessed on this, is the timber, the farming, what businesses, whatever it might take. But we don't have that assessment as to if that road would be closed in part or whole, what that evaluation might be. I looked at the properties, and there is no one who's actually landlocked from an access to the road. Now, access may be an issue, but nobody was landlocked from what I can tell of the property values with that between the two, between the culvert and the bridge. With that said, I will make a recommendation that we replace the culvert and we continue on our progression on making the bridge repairs. There's some other things that will have to be done with the bridge, but that we go ahead and make the investment on the culvert, which we have quotes that we've accepted from Kenizer and then from White Construction. And the Kenizer bid was the lower bid of the two that we had received. That was 94 or 94.5. 96. Okay, I don't have, the bids are tucked away in the file. But that's my recommendation, is that we go ahead
Can
and
we rebid that?
I make a recommendation, or I make a motion, if you will, to replace culvert on 1150 South, and then start the process of the repairs for the bridge 31. I think it is, or whatever the bridge is that goes over Norton Creek there. So that's my recommendation and a motion, or we can discuss this without a motion. That's my recommendation.
The main thing that they need to know, we are going to fix it.
That's where we're, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no problem supporting that. I would like to see it rebid, though. I think we could probably get a little bit cheaper than $94,000 on that one culvert, if you wouldn't mind rebidding it.
Well, that was sent out for everybody. These delays of things take months, and we're already going to be pushing Christmas. We have the monies in this budget now. If we wait a month, we will not have the budget. We will not have the monies by the time it's completed, or it will be into next year's budget anyway. I don't know that we have the monies in next year's budget or not for that.
What do you think that either one of them could do? You think that both those contracts get it done this year?
The bridge contracts, I don't know yet. The culvert contract can be done this year.
Okay.
If we go out for bids again for 2 weeks, and anyway, I'll be pushing doing it.
I agree with RJ, but I also agree with you that this needs to be done, get taken care of, and so.
Well, everybody had a chance. This was not a secret bid or anything. It was sent out, and people had a chance to bid on it. And
I know, but I think that you said was going to change some of the requirements on the bidding that
No.
people could bid on.
there was no change in the requirements. I asked for people to send me why they thought they could make the bid less, and nobody has done that. I asked what particular line items in the specifications were running this cost that were not needed, and there's not been a response to that yet. That's been going on for a month.
We can talk about more later. I had a couple of them talk to me about it. I'd direct them to you. But
it's
I
nice
said
to
we need to
talk
get this
about
done.
it.
We need to get this done. And so I have no problem with going ahead and approving that and getting it done, because it needs to be done. These people need an answer, and we have the money to do it. Let's go ahead and do it. And then next time we look at things a little bit differently, I think, at least in my district.
Okay.
So we got a motion to replace it for accepting one of the bids that.
Apparently it's 96,000, whatever the bid was for that bridge. If you don't want to, then vote no, please. Then we'll readdress that. I think that's the way to take care of that. Instead of negating the bids we have, they were legitimate bids. So I do, if you feel like we need to, let's vote it down, and then that'll be our only alternative, is to go back and redo it then.
Is that legal?
Sorry, what was the question?
We had bids out and came in, and we thought that was too high, so can we rebid it?
You can reject all, but as long as you're rejecting all, it's what you can rebid.
How soon could we get that? That would take very long to put it out? I mean, what's customary on that? We have to put it out for 10 days, 30 days, or what?
I don't know.
What about you, Brett?
A minimum bid would be 2 weeks, and it should be up to 2 weeks to 30 days, depending on the gravity of it. This is a small project, so it could go out in 2 weeks, assuming somebody gets it together. And
We already have the culvert, right?
yes, the culvert's been purchased. That price does not include the culvert, that
Yeah.
$96,000.
It's just labor, what, they're,
That's labor and material, or not material, labor and equipment.
but are they including all the fill and everything?
Mhm.
Compaction.
That's everything, including gabions, instead of pouring back the walls, it's taking out the old bridge that was there, or whatever that structure was that was there before.
And the plan is to, the plan for that was to rip out the concrete, the head walls too?
Yes.
That
That
fill
in part
didn't-
was part of the reason for the failure. It
That's
was
what
a
I was
combination
wondering.
of things.
That the fill wasn't running right when it came in, got worked underneath them and pushed it out.
Well, it wasn't one thing that caused the failure. The major portion was that the bottom was rotten out. That was the major reason for it. But
That was
there's
probably
other
sitting inside a
things.
box culvert before, right? Is there the box culvert there? I mean, if you got a head wall there, you had something.
It was I don't think it was I don't know that it was a box culvert. The bottom was knocked out of it, and it
Okay.
appears to be a bridge at one time, or the equivalent of a bridge as far as beams going across it. 130-foot long though, so it doesn't qualify as a bridge.
So we're definitely fixing it, but we're thinking about maybe rebidding it. That's the question we have right now.
Yeah, my 2 cents is that I would push to reject all bids and rebid it to save the taxpayers some money, because I do believe we can get it a little bit cheaper than 94, whether or not certain contractors didn't bid on it because of time-related issues or other projects, but I do believe we can get it done for cheaper than 94,000.
Okay, so you gonna make a motion? So someone gonna make a motion?
I mean, I can make that motion. Do you support that, or?
I'd support it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reject all bids for, is it 1150 South Culvert? 1150 South Culvert, and rebid it.
Okay, and Brett, can you set the requirements, and can we do that in 2 weeks? Would that be, I mean, you already got the stuff, right? All the information, we can just stick it back out there again.
We'll still need to, if we're going to do that, we'll need to advertise it at this point. Before, it was underneath emergency action, I believe.
Okay.
So this one is,
I just don't know what the
we'll have
standard
to
time-
advertise twice. Actually, it's going to be, take at least 2 weeks.
What's the cost on the project?
Originally,
The
it
low bid was 96,000 was the low bid.
Give me a second, I'll get you guys the statute.
I think the cutoff is 150 on some things. The next cutoff.
Yeah, I don't know.
But what
if
the
I remember,
requirements
but-
are, I don't know.
One of the other things, the issues that came up down about that bridge, that there had been some logging done up this creek, and all that stuff floated down and got underneath that one bridge.
While John's looking that up, on the bridge across Norton Creek, one of the issues that we continue to have with that bridge every time we have a storm event, regardless of size, is debris that's come down through there, or limbs and trees that come down through there. Highway crew reports that was the effect of logging in the past anyway, leaving the tree branches out in the floodplain and so forth, and they're coming down through there. We do get a lot of debris. The way that bridge is constructed, it's like a tree trap anywhere, a fish trap. It's kind of the wrong bridge in the right place, but wrong bridge for that place.
It's not all clear span, it's got a lot of posts in it, right?
Well, it's not just it's the one bent goes diagonal to the abutments, and so it traps everything that comes into that section of the bridge. And we've had problems with having to clean that about every time that there's a storm event that happens of any significance. It has to go out and be cleaned. We've lost 2 of the diagonals on there. The bridge is still going to be closed until we get at least the diagonals into it. We're losing dirt behind, or it's basically the mud wall behind the abutment. We're losing that dirt out behind it.
Okay.
We've lost the riprap in front of it. Somebody reported a piling being broke, that I had them go out and check that, and they couldn't find any pilings. There are 2 diagonals that are broke, but didn't find any pilings that were compromised.
So it's looking like right now we'll rebid it.
Well, you got to vote on it.
Yeah.
And I think you can use your inviting quotes procedure, because
a relatively small project,
Yeah.
as they go,
We will.
I'll send you guys that, and that may be the easiest way.
If it's
to
under
do it.
150,000, I think it's considered a small project, but
Yeah.
you don't have to, we don't go, what are we doing?
You want to do the invitation to quote instead?
Well, that's
Yeah, we,
kind of what we did before.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine, we can do that. Tim, you haven't seconded that motion yet, have you?
I'll second.
Well, I was gonna amend it real quick. I'll amend it from,
Did you second or you didn't second?
If I didn't, I don't remember if I did. I am.
Okay.
I am.
Yeah,
now.
we'll say you didn't.
I
we'll
am
say we
now.
did.
If I haven't, I don't.
I'll amend my motion. Still want to reject all bids for culvert 1150 south, and we will put them out for invitation for quote.
Quotes. Second. Within 2 weeks, is a 2-week deadline pretty good for you? You think would we get them back?
Well, if we're not advertising,
You can probably get them quicker.
well, I wouldn't bet on that.
Well, yeah, true.
If we're not advertising, we can probably do it in 2 weeks.
Do we have to advertise it?
No, the quotes process, no, you can just invite,
We could
you can
ask
ask
the
the
different
people known
contractors.
to do that type of work, to submit a quote to you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passed. So whoever was here about the bridges, any other questions you have, so we don't want to make you have to stay. So,
This is somebody, I don't know how you're going to do this.
well, if anybody, our decision was made to replace and fix the bridge and put that back. And so unless you have
The
anything else to
culvert
say.
right now.
Culvert.
Yeah.
Unless you got anything else to say about it, you're free to go. We're trying to get rid of, let people go early instead of holding you to the last minute, so.
I
If it,
appreciate that, but what happens if the bid comes back and it's a lot higher?
No.
Then you're gonna change your mind?
no, it'll be done. It'll be done.
Okay.
It'll be
Maybe.
done. No, it'll be done. It'll be done. But like I said, we're trying to do this meeting a little bit different, and if you got something to say about it, here's your chance to. If you want to stay for the meeting, you're welcome to, but these meetings anymore get quite long, and we're trying to get as many people free from having to stay. You're all welcome to stay, but that's the decision that has been made. So, does anyone got any other comment about that? We're going to move on from that issue. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just going back to the front.
You want to get me and Rise out of here and get some of these people out of here real quick?
That's fine. I mean, I don't care.
How else? You got any other priorities here?
I don't think so.
I think the front page is pretty much prioritized, I think. Like action items we need to vote on. You want to do the rise real quick?
What?
The rise, you want to get them out of here? The rise?
Rise, you want to come, Bob, real quick, and you can get out of here quick.
Good evening, folks. I don't have a great deal. I want to mention we're meeting 6 p.m. Thursday, November 18. We're working on Britain's recommendation about, incorporating easements into that sewer agreement, so we're clear about all those details. And we've got a number of agenda items that frankly we're kind of bringing over from our October meeting to our November meeting, and try to wrap up a few things before the year ends. Hard to believe it's here, but I really don't have a whole lot more to report out unless you've got some questions or some topics you'd like to.
One thing I was wanting to say, I talked to Doug. Doug's our new economic development director, and I'm trying to figure out, and I think we're all in agreement, is how economic development and the RISE works together. I hear you guys are already scheduling a meeting, which is great. But I think what the recommendation I'm probably going to make is that someone on the economic board would attend your meeting, and someone from the RISE board would attend economic development meeting. And I think it'd be good with those on that board to be that interaction, because it seems like we got two potentials here, and how do we pull that together?
Sure.
I think it's important that we form some more communication there. So
Yeah, sounds great.
and I think if each office, each appointee would take it for 1 month, they'd go next month, next one to go, so that kind of gets everybody kind of
Yeah,
involved.
yeah,
in it.
familiar, good.
So, anything else happen about your solar or anything else that?
We're still working that course, tomorrow evening, Plan Commission, I believe they have an application in.
Good.
So I'll be here tomorrow night again,
Yeah.
and anticipating a review of that and hopefully approval.
Okay.
I had talked with, we working into this ambulance, about whether there's 3 or 2 still with whatever the council's doing. One of the discussions this last week was that the ambulance had approached the Rise, or the Rise had approached the ambulance about using the old fire house that was there. Is that still on the table?
We haven't picked that up for over a year that I recall, but I mean, the building is still there, it still has bay doors, and it could be a.
Was it,
potentially-
what was represented to me is that the Rise was going to offer it to the ambulance service to use, or the county for the ambulance service to use, but to be the county, I guess, that would foot the bill for bringing it up to some type of standards for the ambulance service. Is that?
Well, I think there was the provider was possibly he had all these expenses, and then we would maybe net that out of a lease, would work with them. We were excited simply with just having emergency medical services sort of there, just another nice benefit or resource.
Is there a reason why we didn't proceed with that? I assumed this was sometime a year
I
ago
was under
or
the
so.
impression maybe the budget or whatever just stayed at 2 and they never really, or maybe it was a big ticket to improve the building. I'm not 100%, but it just kind of lost traction and we didn't have it on our agenda anymore.
Tim, do you know why this was not?
Well, number one
Looked at
thing is
for-
they
for that?
decided to have an ambulance north and south and nothing in the middle, and an ambulance just comes up the stages itself, so that, it didn't go no farther than that.
Okay.
So that's for what I remember.
Still a possibility then, I guess?
Yeah, still there, still, we can fire up those boilers and reconnect the water and sewer and.
Is there a problem with them getting in or out of the Rise?
No, I think, if we have this arrangement, of course, we manage all that access,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Vermillion Trails Alliance, get Zimmerman out of here. You see anything else? Go for it.
Les Zimmerman, Vermillion Trails Alliance. I got 3 items here. If you recall back in, I think it was July or August, we opened bids for the Wabash Heritage Trail project there at Hillsdale, and they came in way over budget, and so we did not accept any of those bids. Recommendation's been that we go ahead and rebid this project, so I've given you each a copy of the invitation to bid. In order to fast track this, we need to fast track it because we need to have the next set of bids before we could be considered to kind of redefine the scope of the project. We're hoping we can get bids in that will be within budget. If they don't, we can redefine the scope of the project. But unless we rebid it, we cannot do that. Now, I'm looking forward to picking up a few of those folks, RJ, that we missed last time around. We'll make sure to get everybody on track with this, and we would look forward to having your input on that.
Yeah, I can definitely send those contractors to you, because I know a couple that definitely were interested in it, but just missed.
Yes.
Missed the opportunity.
And again, that was unfortunate that happened. It won't happen again.
Appreciate
But anyway,
that.
in order to get this fast track, this needs to be published in the newspaper on November the 17th and the 24th. I just got this yesterday. That's why you didn't get it until today. But this is basically identical to the previous one that you already approved. So I'm asking for your approval to submit this to the Clintonian for publication.
What is the county's responsibility in that? Is there any?
You're going to open the bids, and you will award the contract. It's your project.
I know, but I mean financially.
Nothing.
Okay, that's something that I keep saying stuff, so I want you to say that so everyone hears.
Yep. No.
And there's a
No
lot of
issue.
money out there for trails, and someone might as well get it. And I'm glad that Zimmerman and BTA is doing that.
Well, this is entirely grant funded, and, you know, we've had some match. On my next topic I'm going to talk to you about tonight, we're kind of excited about some match that we've got as well. So, can I go ahead and send this to Eric so he can get it published?
One question, do you really want a bid bond, or that's only a couple of $1,000s, but do you really think that you need a bid bond on this amount of money?
What's your recommendation?
I wouldn't ask for it. Either they honor it or they won't honor it. We're not going to probably pursue it.
So would you suggest that we amend this a little
I
bit?
would not be opposed to you. If you have good reason that you think people are going to welch on this, very rarely do I go out for bid or accept bid bonds on this amount of dollars anyway.
If that's your
This
recommendation.
is not a $1 million project, or I hope it isn't.
No, not even close.
They might limit some bidders, you know.
We can sure take that out of there.
The performance and payment bond is fine, but bid bond, I don't know that it's worthwhile.
Well, and I'll just run this came from the engineers, so I'll just run it right back by them, and we'll get that changed.
Okay.
I think your performance and your performance bond would be more of a
Well, I think that's critical. That's very important. Yes.
The performance and payment bond, sure.
okay.
Do I have your permission to run this, take the bid bond
I'm in
out?
favor.
and
No,
run it?
I'm in favor of it.
You have our agreement.
Thank you. Next item is, as you all know, and you have consented to be the applicant for our next grant application, which is an extension of this trail. We are very close to having that grant application completed. I think we're within a couple of weeks. The deadline for that is December the 1st. So I'm just telling you today, because we're going to bring the completed application to you on November the 23rd, which will be your next meeting, for your signature.
Can you send that information to us? Let's see what all that is.
Well, we've been working with
Okay.
the auditor here, Brenda. We've been working with Brenda pretty close, so you will have it. We'll be in touch with Brenda. It'll come through her. So you will have that, and that's just basically a heads up. I don't think there's anything we have to do officially for that, since you've already consented to be the applicant.
It's just the next level trails.
This is the next level trails application, yes.
Approximately what is the cost of value, or
That one, we are applying for, the project itself will be somewhere $1.5 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. And we have been pretty successful in getting the match for that. We need to have 20%, which is almost $300,000. And we've got most of that.
good?
We're adjusting some of the specs on the thing and adjusting some of the components of the bid to make that match come in right at 20%. We think we can get it done.
Okay.
I didn't think those were required until January 3rd or so, but it's December 1st.
December 1st.
Okay.
Yep, coming right up. We want to get this done before Thanksgiving. We don't want to be hitting that deadline. One thing I will bring up to you, and I don't want to take a lot of your time, we are approaching this one that we're going to rebid from the possibility of stockpiling stone on a rented acre or so down there on the farmer. We're considering that possibility. But a little bit of concern, you had told us we could have a waiver to run heavy trucks over Old 63 and then down through the creek bottom over to Alta.
Yeah, that's my road.
That's
my road.
that's your road.
Because we're going to pay.
And
that
I
road.
understand that you're going to pave that. So I don't want you to pave that road and then me run 100 triaxle loads of stone over that thing.
Because you won't run them over it.
So, but we do need access to that.
That's why we said that gravel road, if it's tore up a little bit, then we'll just repair it and fix it later.
Well, I'm just saying this up front so that we can work together on that,
Yeah.
because we are absolutely sensitive about that. We don't want to tear up your roads.
Right, I agree.
We'll get that rock in there and then pave your road. Hopefully, we can work that out scheduling. So, something to think about. One final item here, I have a letter, which is basically a jurisdictional letter.
Maybe before you get to that jurisdiction, are you breaking this down to where you'll have the unit costs where you can accept part of the bid, or instead of rejecting the whole bid? If you find it favorable or within your costs? Otherwise, you're gonna have a bid, and is it all or none, or are you gonna be able to select portions of that bid that you want to accept?
Now, are you talking about the rebid?
Yeah, well,
Or-
rebid and this grant that's coming up whenever you're doing that.
That would be a question for our engineers. I do not know the answer to that question.
If this is like our Crossroads grants, we are tied to what we put in there. We can do less, but we can't do more.
Well, and part of the thing on this rebid, part of the reason we're trying to fast track this rebid is because if the bids come in too high again, over our budget again, then we can reconfigure the scope of the project. We can look at that differently.
I
We
suggest
don't
that you
want to do that. We want it to come in under.
Sure. It doesn't change your bid any, except that you have unit prices there, of which you can accept any of those unit prices according to topics. Instead of it's all or none type bid, you're looking at a bottom line number. If you break it out into phases that you can actually accept, or sections that you can actually accept, maybe you can find that to be worthwhile going forward. And maybe you'll reject the whole thing, but at least you have an opportunity to do some of the project if you find it acceptable.
I will have that question for the engineers next time I talk to them, and I'll have an answer for you.
No.
Other questions on the next level trail? This is a letter to the Next Level Trails Review Committee. It's basically a jurisdictional letter. It says that you're okay with having this project go on in your county. It identifies the properties that are involved, the owners of the properties, and I need your signature. It's pretty straightforward. It's just
You guys have any problem with that?
No.
At some point in time, we're going to have to define where these trails are going to be within our, either our highway department or parks
Yeah.
department, or
Yeah.
whatever.
I agree with that 100%.
Other questions, anybody?
Can you say it again, make it again, that trail project you're doing is not, is being funded even to match money by what you already have, correct?
Yes.
That's what you're working at?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. There's no county money involved.
okay. I just want some clarification. I knew it was, but.
Now, I will tell you this, just for fun, I'd like to get some of this under the Parks Department at some point, or under the Highway Department somehow, especially when it comes to trimming brush and things like that, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Something to think about.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you.
Doug Hess, you want to come up here? I know you'll be short and brief probably, so. Economic Development. Doug Hess is our new Economic Development Director. He's doing a good job. Appreciate him.
Thank you, Commissioners. Again, Doug Hess, Economic Development. One thing that I know Bob and from the RISE and I are working on is a proposal regarding the RISE. We are not ready to announce anything yet because we're in the process of trying to finalize everything. We are meeting on Monday, November the 15th at 1:30 to try to get something in writing so we can get everything fleshed out before we say anything. But that is one thing that we're currently working on at this point.
Okay. You agree that you guys working together is a thing that you really should happen, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think we can make sure that we get somebody to Bob's meeting and vice versa in regards to that, so we're working on the same page.
Anybody got any questions for economic development?
At some point, we need to have a meeting between the council, the commissioners, and Economic Development Council. Not the commission, but the council. There's some issues that need to be discussed and format and how this all came about, resolved, I guess. So
Yeah, we can schedule
sometime,
that.
hopefully before the end of the year.
Okay. Anybody got any
If
questions?
you would, if you'd make that arrangements, I'd appreciate it, between council, commission, and the Economic Development Council.
Get the three together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Anybody else got any questions for Doug?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we got Town of Dana. Get you out of here. We know.
Tim, I apologize, but did you skip the health department on purpose?
No, we haven't skipped nobody. We're trying to get some people out of here quick. It's going to be short, and trying to make it so people.
We're all.
We've got it.
Okay, we asked if anybody had any important
We've got
things.
physicians here.
Okay.
You want to do that?
Do what?
Department?
We have doctors here who have office hours. Nurses here who have.
You want to do it? Just-
You go ahead and go, so you can get out of here, and then we'll go next. Then we haven't
Good evening.
passed anybody. We're just trying to cut down on some.
My name is William Peebles. I'm here for representing the town of Dana. And the town of Dana is currently in the middle of a big water project where we're going to try to replace our water tower, our controls in the treatment plant, some transmission lines between the wells and the treatment plant, and we're coming up short on funds. We have applied for and received $700,000 Okra grant, $750,000 SRF, and an additional $120,000 ARP. So that leaves us at just over $1.5 million. The total cost of construction is going to be in the $2.8 million range. So the folks in the town of Dana are looking at having to pay almost $90 a month water bills, $86.72 a month for a minimum water bill. That doesn't include the $90 sewer bill that they pay every month as well. So I'm here tonight and I'm asking the county commissioners to give the town of Dana $500,000 so that we can get our water project underway and rates low enough that our people in the town of Dana can afford to pay a water bill. Whatever the town of Dana or the commissioners give us tonight, SRF is going to match that dollar for dollar over the money they're already giving us. So if you give us $500,000, they're giving us another $500,000.
That's grant, or is that
That's
loan?
Say that again, Steve.
It's grant. The additional matching money that the SRF will give Dana will be matching your grant with their grant. It will not need to be paid back.
That will take that monthly water rate from $86.72. That's not right. Oh, 50, okay. Yeah, I thought it was a dollar sign.
I wish it were.
It will take that from $86.72 to $57.10. And we have a ton of retired people in Dana, old retired people in Dana, and if you're in here, I'm sorry, I'm driving you that way.
Elderly.
Well, they are elderly. I'm going to be one of them one of these days, and I don't want to be paying $90 a month in a water bill. So that is my purpose for being here tonight.
So what's the total going to be for a minimum?
Without
With
any
everything
additional.
with sewage and water?
Say that again.
With sewage and water included?
It'll be about twice. It'll be twice that $86.72. And it'll be in there somewhere. It's like a $90 water bill, I think, or sewer bill every month.
I'm trying to figure out how the people would take that. I mean, do they? That's quite a jump in it. Double.
It is a huge increase over what our minimum bill is right now.
Was this project started about a year ago, or when was this project started?
I believe we've been in motion for 2 years now.
But you had another project going too, didn't you? Hear all about it.
That's been 3-4 years ago.
So at what point did these numbers skyrocket on you? Were they always projected to do this?
Post-COVID.
Post-COVID?
We put out bids and rejected the bids, and we rebid, and it came back higher. So due to supply chain issues with steel and labor issues, getting people to do the job, I guess.
Have you had anybody look into this new funding that's going to come out from the federal government to help you with this? Supposed that they're going to pass?
We looked at the old money with the SWIFT program coming out from the Indiana Finance Authority, and we were turned down for it. But we did get the $750,000 from the State Revolving Loan Fund as an ed sub-grant. We got $700,000 as a grant from OCRA, and we're putting our $120,000 of American Rescue Plan money that the town got into this project, and we're still at we feel would be sky-high rates of this $3 million project. We're not even doing the entire project. The engineers recommend we come down a little bit from the full project just to try to make the rates more affordable. But then we got this wonderful offer from the Indiana State Revolving Loan Fund to match any amount that you would put into this project with grant money from the State Revolving Loan Fund.
This $86, is that with your getting the funding too?
I'm sorry, one more time, sir.
Is the $86 proposed water bill, is that with you getting the funding that you need, or is that not with you?
That is, if you give us nothing, that's what their bill will be, minimum every month. If you look over at that last line, the $57.10 a month, that is if you give us the $500,000 and the state matches it.
Have you guys exasperated all options with grants, EDC?
There's a time window we're running up on too, so.
We did go to the EDC. We had money from a prior project for the EDC,
That's what I thought.
$110,000. We asked them to forgive that. They asked us to pay it back. So, and part of this project and part of that rate is paying back the EDC $110,000 loan over 10 years.
What about the Western Community Foundation? Has anybody reached out to them? They seem to always give out projects for, several different things. I've seen them clear from 5,000 clear to 50, if not more. I think Doc Sullivan's on that board, Dale White. There's several of them.
What's the name of that board again?
Western Community Foundation, I think it is.
Yes.
So I'm not opposed to helping anybody, but I think just getting this tonight, I'm not ready to make anything there. But but I would definitely steer you towards the Western Community Foundation and see if they have any funds for you, and exasperate all your last options. Then maybe come back and see us and the council.
We'd be glad to do that. Always be glad to do that. Part of the money we get from the State Revolving Loan Fund was based on being able to close the loan portion of the financing from them prior to March. We're set up with a closing schedule to do this and to keep our bids from expiring, to have to go back and rebid the project, and we're going to close at the end of December. So we would need to file our information with the State Revolving Loan Fund to close in December by the end of November. So there's time for us to come back, but there's not a whole lot of time.
So you didn't have the funding lined out before you bid it out then, you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Or have you bid it out?
They did.
It's way over. It's way over the bid.
And then we rebid.
The other thing is, I deal with water companies myself. I mean, if this is not an extreme emergency, then why don't you kind of wait a little while and see what happens? I mean,
our
because
engineer was supposed to be here. They kind of consider it an emergency. The water tower is 100 years old and it needs to be replaced immediately. It's in a situation where I don't know how much longer it's going to last. 100 years is a long time for a water tower. There are other improvements that are needed to keep the water flowing in the town. The project's been going on for close to 2 years. We're at the end of it now when project costs are higher than were anticipated, and that's why we're here, looking for additional money. Why we went back to the State Revolving Loan Fund, looking for additional money, trying to exhaust all resources. A very
What-
expensive project, $3 million for a town that has about 250 customers in it.
What is the distribution? How's it, did you guys just redo that, or how old is the distribution network?
Well, it's been-
Say it again, please.
How old are the pipes through the town?
Some of them are 4 years old, and some of them are put in the 70s. Some of them were put in 1920. There's some old pipes in the ground.
They made some major improvements, or they had high line loss, and they had them come in and find the leaks, and they've done real good about getting rid of the line loss.
We really believe that, according to engineers, we looked at the entire system, that this project should keep the town for the next 10 years. Is that a fair?
Yes.
20 years.
20.
20 years? 20 years?
So it better be
20
20.
years. Next 20 years. Here we got an engineer that can actually tell you real answers.
I don't know nothing about any of this, to be truthful, about what we can and what we cannot do.
Do you have the engineer's estimate?
Yeah. Engineers estimate.
So,
Not verbally, in writing. Do you have the estimate available?
I mean, I don't have it, like, I can try to read it to you.
No, if you could provide that. I don't think we're gonna make a decision tonight.
There's not gonna
but
be
if
no
you could
decision
provide
making
it.
that anyway.
We can send that to you.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Bill mentioned, as far as, this study was done pre-COVID. We submitted right when to the Okra program, the preliminary engineering report, right whenever COVID happened.
Who are we talking to? I'm sorry.
You need to
My name's
introduce
Jim
yourself.
Birch.
Jim Birch.
HWC Engineering, I apologize.
Okay.
So we submitted the preliminary engineering report in April of 2020. After we had been working on it for a number of months, we were able to secure funding through Okra in August to September of 2020. That allowed the town to release us to start design in late December of 2020 with a anticipated bid date of August 2021. Through this entire process, we saw in 2021 prices for PVC, copper, and steel, not to mention issues with labor, skyrocket. The elevated tank price went from a fabricator number given to us in late 2019 of $460,000 to a bid price of $725,000. That's the exact same tank. So that just gives you an idea of how much prices have escalated in that time.
Why didn't you guys consider variable speed pumps to do ground storage instead of spending thousands of dollars to go up? I know overhead storage is good, but anymore, I mean, a lot of water companies are not doing that. They're going to ground storage. It saves millions of dollars.
That would also be an option. That was something that we were asked to look at. However, in order to do that and maintain fire protection flow, you also have to size pumps to be able to pump that, which actually exceeds the cost long-term of running it. If you're running a pump 24/7 versus having to just fill a tank every so often, it ends up an operational cost exceeding that. If you already have an elevated tank and their system is flat, obviously, there isn't significant grade change. Those kinds of systems do work where you have a lot of grade difference. So.
Well, I'd say we can take it under advisement. And
Why is the SR state revolving fund, why is it tied to what the county provides?
I'm sorry, one more time, sir.
Why is the state revolving fund tied to the county providing funding? Why is it not tied to what Dana or somebody else provides funding to?
We went into the state revolving loan fund and they gave us $750,000 to start with. And then the bids came in and they were higher than we anticipated. My name is Steve Brock. I'm with Thurber Brock Associates, financial advisor for the town of Dana. So we went back to the state revolving loan fund and asked for more money. And their offer the second time around was, we'll still give you the $750,000, but any additional money that the county gives you, we will match. So this is the second offer we got from the state revolving loan fund.
Have you got a management plan? Does Dana, I mean, it looks like we're going to solve one problem, but when's the next problem coming up? Do we have a plan for this where we're not running into critical issues each time?
And we will, and that's part of the Indiana State Revolving Loan Fund. On July 1st of 2018, the Indiana legislature passed a statute that mandates that every community that accesses the Indiana State Revolving Loan Fund create an asset management plan. That asset management plan has three parts. It's got a managerial, a financial, and a technical portion. The engineers generally put together the managerial and the technical portions, and I put together the financial. It's going to be a 20-year look forward, and it's going to identify for each of those years projected revenues, projected expenses, asset replacement will have to occur in each of those years, how that asset replacement is going to be funded, what the user fee is going to be each of those years, and what the debt service coverage ratio is going to be on the debt service. So,
when is this going to be available, though?
It has to be completed prior to the final draw on the loan, so it won't be done until after the project's completed. So it's exactly what you're, I think, asking for, and the reason it's put into place is just so what you're referring to is that all of these communities that come in for projects have plans in the future. It's supposed to be a working document, a living document that will keep moving forward and not be static. So you have a 20-year look forward for every year forward after the plan is completed.
Is there a reason why the what is it called?
State revolving?
No, or the fund that you're asking for us to ARP. That's what it is, ARP. Is there a reason why it has to be ARP?
And there is not. It's just that I've been asking lots of counties for ARP money for my clients, and the reason is the ARP money has a certain sunset date. You've got to get it out the door. You're getting 2 tranches of money in. That money can only spend for 4 purposes. One of the purposes is water, wastewater, and broadband infrastructure. So the other ones are like premium pay for executive workers, replacement of any costs, tax revenues that you lost due to COVID, and costs that you incurred to address the public health emergency, which is pretty vague. But a lot of communities are looking, a lot of counties are looking at putting their money into utility projects as a qualified and easy way to allocate that money.
Have you been looking to what the infrastructure bill, as according to Senator Ford, there's fairly large amounts of funding coming available here after January 1st from the infrastructure bills that were just passed to communities and counties and states for that matter. Have you looked into what that ramification is and what that affects this if it's not approved by December 1st?
$55 billion of the money in that new bill that comes out is allocated to utility infrastructure. So we don't know how that's going to be allocated yet, where it's going to go, whether it's going to go like this one did to be administered by the Indiana Finance Authority and other finance authorities throughout the country. We've already rebid this project once and it came in higher. We're a little bit nervous about going back and rebidding it for a third time if the bids expire without us being able to close on our loan with the State Revolving Loan Fund. $750,000 of the money we have in here is tied into closing at the close date. Now, I'll tell you right now, I've extended my clients past State Revolving Loan Fund close dates before. They're easy to work with. But they run into a problem where they're in fiscal year cycles, and that fiscal year cycle is going to end on June 30th, 2022. As we get close to June 30th, 2022, they're less interested in extending our deadlines to use that $750,000. They'll ask us to come back in and reapply it in their next fiscal year, and they try to get all their money out the door in their fiscal year so they can go back and ask Congress for more money next year. If they have money laying around that isn't spent, then it's hard for them to go around and ask for money. So that's why $750,000 of this is tied into a deadline with the Indiana State Revolving Loan Fund. The $700,000 is Okra. We also have a deadline with them. We've got to have bids by 12. We've got the bids, then we have to get in construction by 18 months.
Yes.
With Okra. Or else we have to ask for an extension, and we can probably get a 30 or 60-day extension on that. but they're not very good about giving extensions longer than that. So a lot of it's funding that we get, this free money that we're getting, and we ask for every place we can find it. Like most free money, it's tied into other things and other limitations on how to use it and time frames and how it has to go out the door. So certainly we could look at this new money coming in. There's a chance of the bids coming to higher if we have to rebid. There are chances of losing some of the money that we have had. So you look like our best option. I like your statement that does it have to come from the American Rescue Plan funds? And the answer, no, it doesn't. State revolving loan fund will match dollar for dollar any amount that you can put towards this, from any funds that you have available.
I'll probably have some other questions for the engineering. I don't want to tie up everybody here at this meeting though.
We'll take our advisement and bring it up, put it on for discussion. And
yeah, I'm not ready to vote.
no, none of us would today.
I just came to my attention this morning.
Yeah. But I would like to see you guys reach out to the Western Foundation, Community Foundation, see if they wouldn't be able to help you out.
We just thought about downscaling it and just take care of the main thing you need to take care of, like the water tower, and forget about the rest till things change.
We have.
That's,
Thank you.
yeah, we'll check it out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Yeah.
time.
Mr. Wilkins said that the health department wanted to speak next. Health department. We wasn't holding you up. What we was trying to do was trying to get rid of some people that need to leave early and are doing from staying for 2 or 3 hours when there's no need for them to stay. Getting rid of some.
The last meeting, we brought before you the appointment from our health board. Our health board is here. They are all here. We have Dr. Brock, who is a physician. We have Judy Howard, who is an RN, our public health nurse. And we have Judy Howard is our president of our board. We have Kay Smith, who is she's an RN on our board, and she's also the vice president. We have Dr. Crane. He's on the board, and then we have Joyce Clark, who represents the public, and then Terry Hill, who is a licensed RN. So I do believe we have a very good board. They are very qualified, and so if you would have any questions, I know Dr. Brock and Dr. Crane would speak to you on the appointment. If you have any questions, please feel free to question them. Okay.
I had asked for a resume, but I've never received one yet of the candidate.
I sent the CV to RJ.
Yeah, she had sent one to me, Britt, but it wasn't in any means a resume per se. It was very short. I thought I sent it out to you guys, but it may not have went through. But it was very...
That is a resume.
Yeah, okay, well, it was very...
That is what the position's presented.
Is it? Okay. I don't know if...
That's fine.
Yeah, I could probably email and get it printed off, but I'm not sure.
I have a copy.
What was your why did you make the recommendation? What was the impetus? You had at least three candidates.
I'm Dr. Brock, Dr. Greg Brock. I live in Clinton, but I practice in Terre Haute. I'm a family practice doctor. When Dr. Albright resigned, we obviously needed to get a new health officer. So that advertisement was placed in the local paper. 3 people applied, 3 physicians, local physicians applied, Dr. Roger Jones, Dr. Lori Valera, and Dr. John Wheat. We asked that they submit resumes, curriculum vitae of their training, their experience, and what they're doing currently with their physician practice. We reviewed those resumes. We looked at the qualifications, and from there we came up with our decision to appoint Dr. Lori Valera as the county health officer.
The reasoning?
I'm sorry?
And what was the reasoning?
Well, based on her experience, her training, she's board certified, she's local.
And when you say local, you mean live in Vigo County?
She lives in Vigo County now with her husband.
I was going to say, because my understanding of local is in Vermilion County. And
Okay.
And the other 2 candidates do currently live in Vermilion County, correct?
I don't know. I don't have the,
According to the law, they do not have to live in Vermillion.
Well, I understand the law, but my understanding of local is in Vermillion County and not necessarily outside. So I guess we just want to clarify for the public that.
now, and our
That's
previous
fine.
health officer for quite a while lived outside of Vermillion County and discharged his duties, you know, with the requirements of the job. So, unless you have specific questions, I mean, we just felt she was the best qualified of the three that applied. So,
Dr. Crane, I'm also a physician that has lived in the Clinton area for most of my life. I practiced in Terre Haute for 37 years as an anesthesiologist, just recently retired. And one of the things, having been like the director of the anesthesia department there and also chief of staff at Union Hospital for 2 years, I've had a chance to review lots of physicians over the years who have applied for positions at the hospital, at Union Hospital. And one of the things we look at is board eligibility. That's a sign that a physician has reached above and beyond licensure. They have done training in an area, an expertise, either family medicine or anesthesia or surgery, one of the other areas. And then the other thing is we look at, do they have privileges to work in a hospital setting? And the reason that is important is because hospitals provide a review of physicians' practice, which is not really afforded to physicians that work outside of hospital settings. And so it's sort of like hospitals pretty much maintain a level of quality care, and they have a quality department that essentially is responsible for that and reassuring the public that their physicians are qualified and continue to maintain that, not just exceed that requirement when they apply. And so Dr. Valera has done all of those things, and the other two, while Dr. Jones, I think, did a residency in OBGYN, he elected to no longer practice that. He does not currently have hospital privileges anywhere. I don't believe Dr. Wheat does either. And while this is not, you know, again, it's not in the requirements for being the county health officer, it was something Dr. Albright certainly did. And Dr. Albright practiced not only in the local area, but he also practiced in Indianapolis, which is considered by many potentially a higher level than Terre Haute area. So again, I think Dr. Valera is the closest in training and practice to what Dr. Albright was. And with COVID, I believe we need someone who's kind of in the trenches working, so to speak, with COVID patients and knows the ins and outs of COVID therapy and how COVID is affecting the community. And that's something that I don't believe the other two, since they're not working in a hospital setting, will have that kind of familiarization. And
your board voted 4-1 to send this recommendation to us?
Yes.
What was the other one who was the person they chose?
Dr. Cloyd, I believe he voted for Dr. Wheat.
Yes.
And John, it's my understanding we have to give our certification tonight. Now, if we choose not to give our certification, would it be a motion?
It's an approval.
Approval?
It's subject to the approval. So if you don't give your approval, then this would be the second time that you'd failed to give your approval, and then that person would become ineligible.
And with that
law changed June of 21 this year, right?
June 30th, yeah, it changed.
What is her role in public policy? What has she played in the manner of public policy of formulating that and being able to?
Well, one is just maintaining standards of care. You know, she is her job now as a hospital doctor at mostly Vermillion, at Union Hospital Clinton. I mean, she kind of walks the walk and talks the talk. She's not formulating a lot of policy, but the idea is you practice and you make recommendations on what the current guidelines are for medical practice, for infectious disease, for whatever current issue is occurring. Right now, obviously, the past 18 to 20 months, COVID has been forefront, and you know, everybody has been learning on the fly about COVID, how to deal with COVID, vaccines, getting people vaccinated, making recommendations on care. So that part of it's been very ongoing. So it's kind of
what is her position on COVID as far as mandates, vaccines, masks?
I can't speak for her. I would assume that she certainly, as a physician, recommends that everybody get vaccinated.
That's all right. If you don't know, then don't.
I do not know.
Dr. Brock wasn't present the night she gave the interview with the board that was present, but she did state that she definitely recommends the vaccine. And not all the others stated that.
Is it a mandate or is it a
No,
voluntary?
I don't think she mentioned
It's not a
mandate.
mandate, it's just a recommendation. We follow the Indiana state recommendations, which are not mandated, but they are recommended.
Well, I would, if you guys have any other questions, or?
I don't, right, yeah.
Well, John, I don't know if it needs to be a motion, or does it have to be a motion?
What the statute says is after June 30th, 2021, the appointment of a local health officer is subject to the approval of the appropriate county legislative body. If the appropriate county legislative body fails to approve a nominated individual on 2 separate occasions, the individual is barred from further consideration for the position. So I don't think you have to have a motion. It's if you don't approve, then that would.
Well, I would, my recommendation would be not to approve Dr. Valera as the county health officer and ask that the health board come back with a different recommendation.
Can we have a
For us.
reason for that?
What's that?
Can we have a reason why you're not approving the most qualified candidate?
State a reason.
You know, I'm not sure that listening to the board tonight, you know, want to know what my reasoning is. You know, we're looking at someone outside of the county. We have 2 people within the county that are very well qualified. Now, I did hear you say that board certified meant something and this meant something, but I'm not sure that that should throw them out from the thing. Apparently, Dr. Cloyd thought that one of your other ones would be a good candidate.
Because they are personal friends, and that's.
Oh, okay. Well, my recommendation still stands.
John, it was my understanding that this was the first being her name presented to them. They took it under advisement. There was nothing done at that meeting. They did not do anything.
I'm just reading what the wording of the statute says.
Yeah, we took it, I think we took it on advisement last
We
week.
took it under advisement, so this is the first time.
Just wait a minute. Let them talk, and we'll let you talk. Go ahead.
RJ,
Identify yourself.
RJ, may I say something?
You want to come up here to the thing so they can hear you?
I didn't say something, I never heard you guys this evening, so. RJ, I'm on the board.
Mhm.
I am the sole out of medical field representative, and I do ask strange questions. The other 2 candidates do not want to even discuss COVID with their patients. And they do not really want to even give you a vaccination. But Valera voiced her interest in moving to Vermilion County because I believe her husband has something to do with another medical facility here in Vermilion County. So I don't really think just because she doesn't live in Clinton right now is a reason to deny her the right.
And that's your, you can have your opinion just like I can have mine.
I know. But anyway, that she did express her desire to
Well,
move.
it seems to be a big thing for the board that since they shied away from COVID, that seems like the entire board, besides one member, used that as a deciding factor.
But Dr. Cloyd is a personal friend of Mr. Wheats.
Well, I'm speaking to the other 4 members. The other 4 members, you cited COVID as an issue that they wouldn't touch, they wouldn't vaccinate you, and the health board's taking a position that they want a health officer that is going to talk about that. And that's what I've heard tonight.
Do what now?
Well, we certainly want a health officer that promotes public health.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's the job of the overall umbrella job of the county health officer is to promote public health. And there's all kinds of things under that umbrella for promoting public health. Things as simple as signing death certificates or birth certificates to then helping to provide guidance and help with making recommendations on how we work our way through a crisis, and the current one is the COVID pandemic. So,
Did you make a motion? Or?
Yeah, that's my recommendation. John said you didn't necessarily need a motion, but I guess you need
Or
to
do
see
we
if...
are we going by agreement or are we going by motion? Unless you want to hear something else.
This is the first time, I think. It's
There's
Yeah,
a gentleman
yeah,
that wants to
I
say
think
something.
2, yeah. I think 2 people out
Are
there
you,
want to speak.
how are we doing public comment or not?
I'll defer to Tim. Tim, public wants to...
If you're going to comment, you got to come up here and stand.
I guess it depends if it's all in agreement or not. I mean,
I don't know.
Sorry. Kim Hawkins, I work at Health Department. Can we have a reason that you're not approving, a set reason, or any violation we did in securing the appointment?
I'm not sure.
Did we follow protocol?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's any violation, but I think, like John said, the Indiana state statute lets the commissioners make the final decision on approving the thing.
It's not a
If that's
decision,
the case.
it's certifying, correct? The word is certifying.
No.
No.
It's approval.
It's
So you
approval.
have
It's
hiring, you have the hiring policy.
The statute says approval.
Yes.
So does that mean you have the hiring
Yeah,
power?
the-
Are you not going to take the commissioners appointed board? I don't care if I'm out of order. This board is appointed by you, the commissioners, and you tell them to make a decision, to do what the statute calls for. So they make a decision, they bring it for you, and you say, we don't approve it. So I think the only thing I'm asking for is a reason, and if it's because she lives out of the county, then that could go into litigation. If it ends up being somebody on the political side, if it's a political difference, that could be litigation. It's two sides. You can't have boards that, okay, as a sheriff, the merit board
Limit yourself.
makes a decision, right? And do they come and have to have approval for it from the commissioners?
In this situation, you do.
And merit board. Any other board that picks, selects their leader.
Tim, I think you're talking about several different things, and I think it's kind of getting out of the way a little bit here. The commissioners
No,
have the
it's
final.
not.
The
I mean, it's a
commissioners have the
question.
final say. I have a recommendation on the table. I'm waiting to
Okay.
hear from the other commissioners. It's just like the APC board or anything else.
I'm Penny Reilly. I'd like to speak. I'm the nurse. I've been working supervisor, assistant supervisor, and doctor, and just want to know how much longer before we could have a doctor over us because I'm tired.
Okay. Thank you. To be truthful,
Is there an answer for the question? Is it going to be months, year?
I don't see why it would be. Go ahead.
My comment as the president of the board, I've been on the board for 32 years. You're tying our hands. There are so many things that we've got to have a health officer for. It's all in my hands as president, it's all in their hands. We are not the health officer, and our hands are tied without a health officer. We really almost can't wait until you decide on or approve on someone. We need someone
But
now.
Dr. John Albright is staying on until a new health officer is.
Not no longer, he's done.
Only by name now. It's getting to the point where we're making decisions that we need somebody in there as soon
Well,
as we can get them.
If the other two commissioners or one of them agree with my recommendation, our next commissioner meeting is the 23rd, and if you could have a recommendation by then potentially someone be appointed then, or certified, approved, however you want to use the term.
So when they shut down COVID, we won't be doing that anymore?
That's up to the
Is that the purpose?
This is not the discussion. Tim, please are we going to take more comment, or where are we at on this?
Anyone else? If not, can you be very brief if someone wants to speak? Come up real quick.
I'm not a medical professional, but I know a great many of these people on this board. When they tell you something, you better listen to them. This guy I've known for over 60 years. That lady back there, a good 50. And she saved my dad's life. So if they're telling you something, you ought to listen to them.
We are listening, sir.
Brandon Ruth from Cayuga, and I guess my question is, has Dr. Valera been here to answer questions from you all, or is this something that's been through the board? So is that a possibility?
I don't know who she is.
To kind of short circuit that?
I don't know who
I
she is.
anticipated her being here tonight because I actually had questions I wanted to ask her. Is that a possibility for her to be here to discuss?
She probably wouldn't have been happy.
She is gone, she is on vacation right now, so she is not able to be here, but I'm sure she would. I know you've reached out to her, and, but the thing is, until she's actually the health officer, she really can't step into answering your questions totally fully, so.
No,
But
that
she
was
would-
private correspondence. So
she
it's not,
would-
she's not asking, she's not
She would be
answering
happy
anything
to
in an
come
official
I know
capacity.
she would
That was
be happy
asking
to come
questions of
in
her.
and talk
So.
to you guys.
This isn't public
She also
comment, this
told
is a
us,
discourse.
RJ, you had questions at a health board one night whether Dr. Albright would come or not. Dr. Valera will. She will definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's,
she
I mean,
agreed to
that, I mean, there's pros to that. I mean, I'm not arguing that at all.
That's the only reason I asked that question, is so we don't have necessarily a liaison. We can simply ask her questions if there are concerns about her particular views and whether or not they sit with the commissioner's views, etc. She could be someone that would be here to answer those. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Brett, you got a comment? I personally don't know the lady. I'm not saying anything bad or good about her. I don't know who she is. I do know she don't live in this county. That's important to me, that we have local people, take care of our local people first. Maybe it's not what some people think, but that's always been my objective, to take care of the people that live in here and practice here and work here, and that's my opinion. That's the way I feel.
She works in the
all
county.
of us, but we believe that she would really be involved to make a difference in our county.
For me to be comfortable with making any decision, I need more information, to be truthful, because I think that and everybody sitting here won't say it, but the things on their minds about COVID, and I know from a medical standpoint, we've always respected the health department and the recommendation. I worry about things happening in the future that would bring the commissioners into conflict with the health department, as far as overreach maybe, as far as shutting down businesses and doing things like that, and I don't know that answer. And
Can I ask a question?
briefly, come up to the mic if you
It'll
can.
be very brief.
Okay.
I'm on an appointed board. These people are appointed, they're board. They are charged with making recommendations to you. Actually, they're doing your legwork, so you don't have to spend all your time doing that. Are you guys going to quit taking the recommendations of your boards? Because if you are, I'll probably resign mine.
When did we not?
They've recommended, they've
I
been
asked you
here
when have we had not
twice,
in the past.
and you guys aren't wanting to do what they are recommending. To me, that's sending a very, very negative message to those of us that do serve on these boards.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
So we got a motion on the floor.
Yeah, motion, recommendation, whatever you want to technically call it.
I would rather have a little more information, to be truthful.
What type of information would you like? I did send what RJ asked me
I
to
haven't seen
send.
that.
I did send it to him.
Sometimes we don't always get everything we.
Would you like to set a meeting with her?
We asked for an executive meeting with you guys, and you did deny that. So we did ask for a meeting, and I think Mr. Britton said what was the need for it. Each one of you said we weren't in need for it. So that would have been the perfect time that we could have set up a time where she could have been available to come in and speak with you guys. So we did try to reach out to you.
Can I say something?
Might as well. Everybody else has. We're getting this too long, too drug out.
Les Zimmerman here. And I've tried to really just sit back there and shut up, but I'm going to repeat what John here has said and what Ron has said. You all have appointed professional people here, doctors, nurses, dentists, to serve on a board to make recommendations to you. Are you saying that you don't trust their judgment? I'm concerned about the message this is sending. I'm really concerned. My wife was offered this job. She turned it down. She's retired. She didn't want it any more than Kenny wants it here.
Or Dr. Brock.
Or Dr. Brock.
But this is their recommendation. They know what they're talking about. That's the reason you appointed them, is to bring their best recommendation to you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
What are we doing? If you're president, let's either do something or move on.
well, he has a motion or a recommendation that we do not accept
Okay,
that.
I agree with his recommendation. Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
There you go.
Final. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is
I'll go to ordinances. Get some of those out of the way.
the jail.
Are you going to jail? I don't care. You want to do jail?
Please, that's not appropriate. I really don't appreciate that.
Yeah, that wasn't.
We've got to talk after this meeting. This
I
is not,
agree.
we're not doing well here.
Yeah. We're getting chewed up. People are not even having. What about the jail? We're going to go on.
Okay, looking for, since everything was out of order here.
Somebody please shut that door. Appreciate it.
Doug's got it, I think. Brendan.
Well, I had it here earlier.
Oh, my back. Next on jail.
Yeah, I'm looking for an update on that.
Okay.
Okay, here
Well,
we
let's
go.
go ahead and go to District 3 road. That road accepted.
Unless you are you ready for the jail, Brendan?
I have it here now.
Go ahead.
Progress on site, basically we've got the water main, the 4-inch boring to the rise. They're continuing with the storm piping and structures. Duke is, well, we already knew that they completed their power poles along State Road 63 earlier at the end of last month anyway. They're currently backfilling the foundations in Area A and found in the insulation. They're in the underslab sanitary in the existing area with electrical rough ends and pouring slabs on grade. And demolition of the padded cell. Area B has got the electrical cabling. Existing indoor recreation area has been filled in, and they're running lighting cables now, new duct work, and demolition of the existing kitchen. Area C is stripping of the site and preparation of the subgrade for the foundation work. And they've started foundations and have completed some of those by this time. We relocated the water line along State Road 63, ran into a few issues there, but those have been resolved. Along with stormwater piping and structures, some have been found that were not on the current mapping. The underslab sanitary of the existing Unit A and patchwork has been completed. This is for future. What's coming up will be completed by the end of this month. Slab on grade in the medical area, and continue the slab sanitary in the existing areas. They'll begin the mechanical addition foundations, and they'll complete the foundations in Area C by the end of this month, along with the rough ends. Right now, the date for completion is still January of 2023. We do have some issues with supply that will potentially affect our timeline up to potentially 30 days. We're still waiting on verification of supply. Our contingency has basically just been used a little less than $6,000 from last period of time. And there's a report there that shows you what the pluses and minuses have been to that contingency and where it's allocated from. Is there any questions on the jail?
Main thing, we're on budget and on time.
Well, the time factor is on the critical path that may affect us, and it has the potential of a 30-day effect right now,
Sure.
but that's yet to be verified. Still waiting for additional information come in. It has to do with supply and don't want to get into that too far right now until we have verification, because it does affect schedule.
Right. Okay. Just going down that road acceptance for RJ.
Yeah, I've talked to John about this a little bit. I have a total of 3 miles, I believe, that the county highway department's been maintaining for the last, some people you talk to say 30 years, some people you talk to say 40. 300 East, parts of Baker Lane, Vermilion Hills, where old Anwright's Bridge was. Well, we just haven't tabled river access. Siesta Drive, parts of Kaiser Lane, and parts of Charity Lane. And we have been maintaining these, like I said, for 30 years. We've put taxpayers' culverts, roads, rock, pavement down. And to the state, these are considered private lanes, and they're not. We're maintaining them and operating them as county roads. And to officially get them on the book with the state, I need like an acceptance from the commissioners to say that we're taking these over, even though we've already been doing it for 30 years. They've been platted for county road. I mean, they're platted. I mean, everything's. So anyway, I'd like to get your guys' approval, if I could, to officially take these roads over in District 3. Because if we don't, we're still going to maintain them, because I can't not plow these roads in District 3. I can't just stop and tell 75 people I'm not going to plow roads anymore. Well, I could, but that wouldn't work out very well.
Why are we doing all that and hasn't been part of our road network already?
I think from the conversations I've gathered from people from Vermilion Hills, Kaiser Lane, Charity Lane, back in the, I don't even know when J.R. Young was commissioner now, but
It has to do with school bus routes.
so a lot.
People open for the school bus.
So some people I've talked to, they haven't found no paper, but the county was supposed to take these over years ago, and there's no documentation anywhere. The landowners don't have any, the county doesn't have any, so I'm just trying to bring something up to quota that it should be, because if I'm not here in 6 years, the next commissioner could wipe away these 3 miles and just say, we're not maintaining them anymore. Which isn't fair to these people that assume they live on county roads. Because we've paved it, we've put rock down, we've put signs up. You know, so at some point someone dropped the ball and not taking care of this.
Do they meet any type of standards?
Well, I would say they meet our county road standards because we've been maintaining them for 30 years. Like the ditch, I mean, any work that's been done hasn't been done by any private citizens, it's been done by the highway department.
I guess one of the questions I have, is, do we have a county standard of when we accept roads into the county as to what it might be?
From what I've seen, the county's never really accepted any roads in. They've told people they have, and they just have never done it. But I'm not opposed to in the future stating a standard has got to be so much, or there's got to be so much base.
That was my question. Do we have a standard?
I'm not sure that we do for accepting them. But these here definitely meet our standards because we've maintained them for so long.
John, did we not, by virtue of maintenance, is this not just like what Bella Lakes was?
That's what I was.
It could be considered very similar, that because we've been maintaining it so long. Now there's a registry of what roads are part of the county that we then get tax money on to maintain.
Yeah, so that's what.
So it'd be important to get them onto that registry.
Yeah, for the NDOT's road mileage. I'd asked them this, and they said you officially need to take it before the commissioners meeting and officially say you're taking them, even if you are for 30 years and saying you've done it for 30 years. That way, the gentleman with NDOT can add it.
My suggestion would be that now that it's been brought up in a public meeting, we prepare an ordinance.
Okay.
Give anybody that, if somebody out there wants to object to it, they would have a chance to come to one of the next couple meetings and
I personally met with everyone that lives on these roads and about get yelled at for saying we don't live on a private road. That's kind of how the conversation goes.
Well, I know it's influenced on some decisions already as to what we do or not do up there.
Yeah, there's
John, by default, we have accepted these roads.
I think the argument could be made, just like in the Bell Lakes lawsuit, is well, you maintained them for so long, you've adopted them, but I still think you should probably create an ordinance and sign it.
In agreement with that. I just want to
But
clarify
I think there'd
that by
be a strong
default.
argument that we have adopted them by our actions.
Okay.
If I give you the list of these, could we work on an ordinance then, if one of you isn't opposed?
I think we need to adopt them and put them on
Okay.
the register if we're going to.
I'll give you the list here, John.
Okay, thank you. I'm not necessarily in favor of accepting roads that are private in nature. It's only because we're in default, or by default, do we end up accepting these.
I think these landowners have been told for 30 years it's been a county road, and no one's ever checked the state inventory map, and when we have, we realize that somebody dropped the ball. But yeah, I would appreciate that, John, if you could. Thank you. That's all I have for the roads.
Does that have to be advertised?
I would put it on the agenda for the next couple meetings.
I meant newspaper-wise.
No,
those
there's not
type
a
things?
there's not a penalty for violating it. It's just you guys taking official action by means of an ordinance. I just think giving a decent amount of time, if there would be that person who wanted to object to it, giving them a chance to show up and say their piece would probably be a good idea.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we done with that?
Yep.
Next, we're going to go over the part, I think, that some are here for the redistricting. And I want to talk about that tonight. If Bill Reynolds could come up. You got some handout, Bill?
You guys should have this information. I don't have them for public, not for the public, because they're oriented.
Do you have copies of it? Okay.
Yeah, each of you, and John, you should have one as well.
What's happened is through the census, the new census, there is a population shift in our county, and it affects the council districts. All of our commissioners run at large, so it don't affect them, but the council districts, at first we had talked to Joni, we talked to Mr. St. Leonard from Luxembourg, we talked to Bill Reynolds, we talked to everyone involved, and our original intent was to leave it like it was. And anytime you change anything where a person votes or goes, it creates a real problem. So the thing is, we kind of all agreed to do that, but then we got a letter from the state that, how would you say it, Bill?
Well, the state election board, our representative, guy we know there, said you're going to have to do it. And what it does is it's a commissioner's action. You have to certify the districts as they are by population. And if you certify that where they are now at, with a deviation of 16.7%, 16.8%, that's beyond 10. There's a statute that says that the deviation between the maximum and the minimum divided by the average should not exceed 10%. We're at 16.8, so that's clearly a violation. So if you certified it at that, and anyone complained and went to the Indiana Election Board and filed a complaint, you'd have to legally defend that, and with some compelling reason why you didn't change it. I don't think there is any compelling reason. So we need to change it. That will involve moving precincts from district to district. And there's a guy by the name of David Shelton, who I wouldn't want to play chess with because he enjoys doing stuff like that. And he has sent us a proposal, and he pointed out that due to the shape of the county, long and narrow, our options are rather limited. And there's also other constraints as well, because the precincts that are within a district have to be contiguous. In other words, have to be adjoining in some way. And additionally, a district cannot bisect a precinct so that a precinct falls into two different districts. So we've got some constraints. And he has put forth a proposal, which is the bottom part, if you have this. The top is where we are now, and the bottom part of the spreadsheet, which should be the cover page, will give a distribution which will get us to 10.7%. It's not below 10, but it shows good faith effort. The only alternative to get that any lower would be to re-precinct, just precincts. And we'd rather not do that. People get a little sensitive about that. But to get this from 16.8 down to 10.7 would involve moving Vermilion 1 precinct from District 2 to District 1. And that would put, by the way, put Vermilion 1 and 2 in the same district, which now they're not. They probably got chopped up someplace in the past. It would also involve moving Fairview 1 from District 3 into District 2. which would also consolidate Vermillion, or Fairview 1 and 2. They were previously separated. So those would be the two changes, and that action is the commissioner's action and require an ordinance, I believe. And as David Shelton did put, he did send us a
Copy ordinance.
a copy, one from another county. It's a good pattern we could use for that.
Okay.
So that's where we are.
And I've talked to Joni about it, and I think Mr. Sanquinetti, he's on the election board from the Democrat side, and I think the big thing about it is we all agreed, and I think that was important. A lot of times you hear about changing of gerrymandering and some political party trying to affect the other one. That has not been the case. It's been very open communication. Do you agree, Mr. Sanquinetti? I agree. And we work with both the Democrats and Republicans and you know, to make this thing work. And right now, if you go to Vermillion 1 and 2, right now, when they run for at large, not large, when they run by district, you got two different sets of voting going on in that one building. And so this way here, Vermillion 1 and Vermillion 2 would be together on that. And then you got the same happening, right, correct me if I'm wrong, in Fairview 1 and 2, you got it split because it's got a split district. And you're putting that back together. So it makes a lot of sense, what we're doing. And like I said, the only one it's going to affect would be Neil Costello, Republican. He would be put into District 3, correct?
2.
District 2.
Yeah, he'd be doubled up with, I think, who's in there?
Brent Bush.
Brent Bush, yeah.
So
the next election, this would sort out. But right now, everybody continue in place.
And we have a map and everything we can show you all. This is something that hasn't been done in the corner, and there's no D or R involved in any of this. And I think if you talk to the leadership, you'll find that out. We've tried to work this out where we do it the way it's supposed to be done by law, and it makes sense to everybody. And that's right now where we're at on that. So, any questions about that? If you got any?
Yes.
Good, Rick.
Do you have a spreadsheet or something that can show the old districts and the population by precinct?
Do you have this?
No, I do not.
You had it last night at the meeting, handout. You should have one.
The answer is yes.
Was it in our
It's in your packet.
In the one that was sent to us?
Right there.
Well,
I had him send it today.
I sent it to
we had a meeting
auditor's
last night,
office
Rick.
today for distribution.
Okay. All of it's right here. I mean, we don't have to act on it tonight anyway.
It's available.
That's fine.
We're trying to, and here's all the information. We'll see it after the meeting. We'll show it to you. And like I said, the big thing is everybody work together. You agree, and I think Mr. Sanquinetti from the Democrat side agrees.
The only thing I would like to say is, when we first discussed this, we all agreed
We all.
that we wanted to leave it as it was.
Yep.
But now we find out that we can't.
Yep.
I want everyone to know that both sides of the coin were on the same.
There you go. That's good.
John called me Friday night, and we talked. Was that Friday? And I got home, and he said, he talked to Joni. Joni's in agreement, leave it the way it is. I got home Friday night, opened my email, and I hear from Brad King, the rep that's on the Indiana Election Division. And he said, well, he said, I strongly recommend you don't leave it the way it is. So everything changed.
Yeah. And again, everybody agreed again. We're doing what, there's no issue here with any party or anybody. We're just doing what's required by law. And I think that's commendable. We need to work together, and I think it's a good.
Yeah, we're not trying to hide anything. It's all transparent.
No. But mainly, we're making it presented tonight. We're not vote on any of this, but you have the material, and we can present it to you, Eric, so you can have a copy for any questions you have for the newspaper too. You what?
We've been ping-ponging around this one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So anyway, anybody have any questions about that? I mean, there's nothing here being done in the corner. It's all open, it's public, and...
Feel like I'm getting off real easy. No grilling or cross-examination?
No.
Okay.
Tim, can we
You done with me?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We'll do the ordinances next, since those are action items.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go next?
Could we do the second reading of the 2021-14, whereas a couple sheriff's deputies had recommended reducing the speed limit on 50 east from 310 north to 400 north to 40 mile an hour.
I think, did the sheriff have a comment on that?
Well, he had the comment on the 55 reducing to 45 countywide, and he had asked me to reach out to Costello. I have. Neil was busy last week. He said he would still look up some information. So if you guys want to, we can table that. If not, we can.
But the one wasn't an issue with the sheriff.
Yeah, the first one was strictly for that road. So I don't have any issues with it. If no other commissioners do, I would make a motion to approve County Ordinance 2021-14, reducing the speed limit on 50 east from 310 north to 400 north to 40 mile an hour from 55.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Anybody got any discussion?
Do we have a book yet that shows where all these roads and miles are and or the speed limits are?
I don't think so. I think that's part of that asset
State that
management
again.
Do we have a concise accounting for what roads we have and the mileage or the miles per hour
plan.
limits?
The speed limits?
Speed
I don't
limits?
think so.
Or anything to that effect? Okay.
So we got a motion.
Got a second?
You got a second, right?
Britton did, yeah.
I did.
Discussion. We done had, I think. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, if you guys want the 2021-15, we can table it, and I'll reach out to Neil again. He was supposed to check with Vigo and make a recommendation to us.
What is it that Neil's going to provide us?
Neil has a lot of stuff on the federal.
He does
law
that
on-
speed. I forget. Mr. Phelps said it best. He does I think he's helped the Vigo County on speed. Before you change something, you should do speed. I can't.
There's some type of study or something.
A study type
to
thing.
document why you do it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But this is more of the default, not the actual.
I'd asked him if he had any issues with the default, and he had said he didn't, but Vigo County never went to a default because they had, I think, more or less were taking it case by case for roads. But if you guys want to, I have no issue dropping it to 45.
Well, the problem we have is that anything that's not posted is basically 55 miles an hour. And I think what we talked about last time was that we don't have any roads built for 55 mile an hour. They may go 55, but we're not built for that.
Yeah. I have no issue going ahead and approving it tonight, and Neil can still offer his.
Is he going to tell us something that I kind of understood that he had some reason why you don't want a default?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at. Was he was supposed to gather some information, and he told me he was busy last week and wasn't able to get.
We approached this one at a time. I think it might have been 2 years ago, and he came and did his presentation. It made sense. There's a certain process that you really need to go through to justify what you're doing, which I think is good to know.
No, we have a default now at 55, and there's no process there, I don't think.
That's just a state.
Or surely it doesn't.
Yeah, it's just a. Well, if you guys want, we can table, and I can see if Neil can maybe make it the next meeting or
I'd
something.
like to hear.
If we can find out, even if he can't make it to me, if we find out what his primary issues are with making a default, I don't want to do something and then have to turn around and undo it.
Right.
I'll send him another text tonight.
Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and go with the one that you.
Yeah, we've already approved the 2021-14, and then there's Britton. I think that's your ordinance, the 2015 snow.
Yeah, this
2021-16.
Signing of the contracts. Basically, the ordinance is that any contract of Vermilion County is going to be signed on behalf of the county, that is, or the county entity, other than the Board of Commissioners, that they should cite what that specific statute it is that gives the person authority to bind the county. And it also addresses. Basically, it's already already state law, but it basically identifies that anybody who does that is a violation of the ordinance. They may have to pay that loss back, and that's already happened in the county a few times for people who have signed contracts that weren't authorized to. And actually, it came from the Indiana Department of Administration. Or
What's your
SPLA?
What's your take on that, John?
Well, it doesn't hurt anything. I was asked initially to make a list of what persons could sign contracts and what ones can't. And the trouble with making those lists is the legislature changes the law from year to year. So even if you make one, just like we talked about the statute tonight that changed in June of this year, that you can make a list and then it's outdated after a few months, it seemed to me to be easier that if somebody other than the Board of Commissioners was going to sign a contract, just ask them to put within that contract what their authority was to sign it, so it's already right there.
So all it is doing is verifying that they have the authorization.
Yeah, legal authority to bind the county
So
in that way.
if we would do this, how would that affect the office holders?
If they, either they would determine that they had the authority to sign something, and they would know what it is, and if they're gonna sign something, they'd say, hey, put a sentence in the contract that cites this statute that says I have authority to sign this, or they would learn that they didn't have the authority, and then they would come to the commissioners and say, hey, I need you to sign this contract for me.
So it would take away anyone signing a contract that shouldn't be signing a contract?
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully it would prevent somebody from inadvertently signing something that didn't have the authority to sign it.
And how would it affect the day-to-day operation of office holders? It would just be under signing contracts? Or?
Yeah, I don't know that it would be that. I mean, right now, a lot of times the office holder brings the contract to us to sign, and then we review it and either sign it or don't sign it in a meeting. It would just say if you're gonna sign a contract outside of the process of bringing it to the commissioners to sign, make sure that contract says what your authority is to sign it.
That's what I'm saying. How would they have that? So they just put on their contracts all the time?
Yeah, they would be like, hey, you got to put this provision in the contract if you want me to sign it. This has got to be part of it.
That's what I'm saying. How much difficulty would it be for an office holder to do that?
I don't think it would be that difficult. You know, I would assume they would have the statute sitting in a drawer somewhere, and if they need to sign a contract, they'd say, hey, this language has to be part of the contract for me to sign it.
Hopefully they would know what their authority is.
What?
They should know what their authority is already if they're signing contracts.
But it wouldn't affect the day-to-day operations of nickel and dime stuff. It'd just be on signing contracts.
Yeah, it would be on signing contracts, yeah.
Because we've had some concerns from office holders that said they can't go buy a chair with this ordinance.
Well, they don't sign a contract when they buy a chair, though.
You know, they can't
There's
buy.
a difference between a purchase order and a contract.
Yeah.
They're purchasing it.
So
That's what I'm saying. If it's to protect large things, I kind of understand that. But if it's if it's going to hinder
I don't want to
every-
hinder an office holder
No.
from picking up the phone and like ordering chairs for their office.
Yeah, but I don't think they can do it. They don't use a contract to do that.
And most of the office holders already come before us anyway.
Yeah.
For contracts, I just don't know. I don't know if they already come to us. Do we need the ordinance, or I mean, I don't know.
No, the issue is that do you want to sit there and look up whether they have the authority to do it, or you just wanted to go ahead and do it and just let it be by gosh, by golly, I have the authority, I'm going to do it.
I don't know what that
Otherwise,
answer
it
is.
has come up in question, and find out that they don't have the authority, and so it just makes it just as easy to go down and say, my authority is by IC, da-da-da-da, and keep it. Actually, it becomes the same
I
thing.
wouldn't, a contract, I mean, if something is for something large, I mean, but they're going buying chairs or something for their office, that's...
Well, it's not just large, it's also professional services contracts. You have only certain people can sign those type things. You're binding the county to quite a bit of money and potentially lawsuits if nothing's a problem until it's a problem.
Right.
And then you're gonna then there's a problem there. This just helps, it doesn't prevent it, but helps a person from getting into trouble signing something that they shouldn't have. If they can't find a reason why they're supposed to be signing it, then they shouldn't be signing contracts. They want to make a purchase order from a contract, buy all day as long as your budget accounts
Do we
for
have
it.
anything on file that is, what is the process?
Well, the various office holders and various boards all have different statutes. And some say this board has the authority to enter into contracts, and some don't say that board has authority to enter into contracts. And so that was the question, is should the onus be on me or on Brenda to, every time a contract comes through, look up that statute and make sure the person that signed it had the authority, or should we just say, if you're signing contracts, you should make sure you have the authority to sign contracts?
It's not much different than what private practice does. Whenever you have contracts, you have a hierarchy, and then you decide where you fall because under certain titles you're allowed to do certain things.
I can understand their major contracts, something big and impact, but day-to-day operation, I wouldn't.
It's not day-to-day operations.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at.
It's not.
The way I feel about it is if we're doing something major, then they need to support that, but.
Did you go through internal controls? Did you review that and listen
Some
to
of
it?
it.
Well, this is something very similar, or not very similar, it is part of an internal control that's actually recommended in those policies that they provided. It's right in lockstep with that.
So what is our policy? You say each department sets
Well,
their own
right now,
policy?
we don't really have any policy. There's just statutes, and some statutes give individual boards, for example, the authority to enter into contracts. Sometimes the statute that creates a board doesn't give them authority to enter into a contract. As a default, the Board of Commissioners is the executive and conducts the business of the county. But some other individuals and offices do have authority to enter into contracts. And so like I said, the question came to me is, could I compile a list, which would be an exhaustive research project that would be stale after we pass the next June, then that research isn't any good anymore. And I thought, rather than constantly checking that, just say, hey, if you're going to sign a contract, make sure you've got authority to sign the contract, and put the statute in there that gives you that authority. I don't think anybody signs contracts for day-to-day business. For example, buying a chair, I don't think we sign contracts. We just buy a chair, and that would be a totally different process. I can make a list and try to double check everything if you want. It's just,
I think
a lot harder to do.
I think that might be a waste of time with states with.
Would there be a difference in the wording if the contract has to be between commissioners and an entity? Then
well, I think by
it's pretty
default
clear that you would have to do that. But like my commissary contracts are clearly between the sheriff and the commissary company. That's under Indiana statute.
Yeah, so you just put the statute on the contract, and
then I think the wording is the only thing that's different. Is like I'm asking you guys to order vehicles, and it has to go in the commissioner's name. Somebody's got to go up there and sign it. I had always done it in Tim's place and put my initials, but with this in place, I'm going to have to. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not arguing for or against. I'm just saying if it says that contract says the Marion County Commissioners, then you would have to sign it.
Like I said, it makes sense, but I just don't want it to be something that burdens down.
That might end up coming up and being questioned 2 or 3 years down the road, like the phone service out there, and it all says sheriff's office or jail on it. But I haven't already signed it.
The problem is that if people do sign it, don't understand that they don't have the authority or that they do have the authority, then they're liable to pay that back to the county. And it's happened with the treasurer's office a few years back. And it's not just like $1, it's thousands of dollars potentially. It's a safeguard for the individual, it's a safeguard for the county. We don't want to have someone come in. Like I said, it's usually not a problem until somebody finds an issue with something. And if they find an issue, then we're going to tie up a lot of time trying to figure out who's going to pay for it. And if the county's not in favor with that person, the county won't pay for it, and the person will. And the person may have to anyway. That's what happened with the last treasurer.
I think we ought to table it and get some more information.
I don't agree. It's been here for a month now. Either pass it or don't pass it. There's not any more information that's going to be provided.
If I don't get more information, I won't. We'll not take it.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the 2021-16. Now you do. There's a lack of a.
Right. And I'm not, and I want to.
Say there's a lack of a second, so.
Lack of a second, so it dies. But I'm saying is, I'm not really done with it. I'm still looking at it, and I need to get more information. That's what I said.
Okay, just the motion died. It didn't kill anything. It just died.
Okay. You guys got some choice on this agenda, so we can get it done.
I'm at a loss anyway.
Mike, is Mike on here?
Yep.
Purchase a vehicle.
Yeah, I seen it on the printed agenda, but it wasn't on the online one. Don't know if I got canceled or not or what. I have money left.
They called me then.
I'll call you. I have money left in my line item to the sheriff's office.
He's not been feeling good, so get him out of here.
To purchase, I've got enough left to purchase a used unmarked vehicle that's specifically for civilian use, and our evidence technician is an Indiana State police officer, but as working on the side, he's not allowed to use the state
Can everybody
police
be quiet, please? Need order,
or
please.
drive.
Can you shut that door back there?
Wait, man, it's hot back there. Anyway, I'm asking to use the money I have in my line item to buy a used unmarked vehicle. That's one of 3 requests there. I've got the money, so it's not new money, but that's what I've got left. I'd have enough to buy a used SUV. It would be an unmarked vehicle strictly for civilian use. They're going to wash laundry and stuff while we're doing this jail construction. Anytime we need groceries. And
how much money?
I've got like 30,000 in that line item. I think I can buy it for a used one for far less than that. But the old Jeep we've got right now is getting ready to hit 200,000, and I don't trust it to be going back and forth to Indianapolis twice a week.
It needs to be unmarked, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah, it'll be just a used vehicle from one of our local dealers. I don't have one picked out yet because it changes, the stock changes almost daily. But I guess to add to that, not to exceed what I have in my budgeted line item.
Okay.
The second is.
Do we need to do something with that, or
Pardon?
do we need to do something with that?
Yeah, you guys need to agree to say I can or not, because it's a contract that's going to be.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Are
25, 26.
packaging this together, or is it like 1, 2, and 3 are together, or?
Let's do 3 separate ones so I don't lose everything.
Well, I make a motion that the sheriff be authorized to spend up to his budget amount for an unmarked vehicle for use as commissary, or use for civilian use. There you go, auxiliary civilian use.
I second it. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Measure passed.
Thank you.
Got 1 now. What about 2?
Okay. I already have an approved budget for 3 new vehicles for next year. Again, everything goes in the commissioner's names on these vehicles, so you need to approve that. I'm asking, the budgets have been approved to my understanding. Is that correct, Brenda?
They're approved in here, but we haven't heard back from the state yet.
Okay, we might have to wait on that, but not a big deal. It's just how long new vehicles are taking to come in. We're looking at 8 to 10 months to get new vehicles.
Oh, wow.
I was going to ask to go ahead and put the order in, but we won't pay for them until next year's budget when they come in anyway.
I think that's what we do with the dump trucks, or the trucks that we have on the highway.
Right. But
is this? Do you do this from the state reserve, or through the state program?
We buy it locally, but it's state bid pricing.
State program, right?
These are also hybrids, which is what we got for 2021. So we're already seeing a gas savings. Some of the guys aren't real enthusiastic about it, but the savings is idling. So it's less wear on the engine when it's running off of a battery. Running for 4 hours up on I-74, which is common on a semi or any crash nowadays, the engine will only run for about 20-30 minutes to rejuvenate the battery. So it's not a full EV vehicle.
Yeah.
It's still got an engine, but low speeds it'll run off a battery. They're actually pretty performance driven.
Now, Mark O'Hare, is he gone?
Yeah, he's gone.
We have another vehicle that's in question right now. That apparently the grant was not agreed to, I guess, by whoever. I thought he was going to talk about it tonight. Is there a possibility that these can be added onto your account from different budgets or not? Or the order that is, and be paid for
Depends
from
on what
different
it
budgets?
is. I mean, Dodge,
It's emergency management services for, like, I think at 3/4 tons, what he's asking for. Just a question, I don't know.
Yeah, we can do that through the Dodge program, but the local dealer doesn't do it anymore, but we can get it through York or a couple other dealers, or we could drive over to 2 locations and pick up one if you're not concerned.
Is there any
about the color.
advantage to tagging on to your program, or is it
It is
something
the
that-
same program, but they just need to know that it's for use for emergency services, and they get a reduced rate. So if he wants like a Dodge truck, whether it's a 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton, whatever, that's a really reduced price through Dodge.
So it's no advantage to tag it onto your program, he can do it.
Oh,
on
no,
his
not
own.
to buy at the same time, no. We're
Yeah.
buying 3 Ford Explorers versus going to Dodge pickups. Dodge pickups we've had pretty good luck with. The other Dodge products, unfortunately, we have not.
Okay, thanks.
But no, if he needs help with that pricing, it's available. There's certain dealers throughout the state that do it and some that are not certified for it. But the difference being, if you went out and bought a new Dodge pickup right now, the classic version is what the emergency services get. There's 3 or 4 different classes of trucks. The classic version even starts out 35, 36, 38,000 bucks. We get those for 28, 29,000. Same exact vehicles.
Okay. But it has to be emergency vehicles?
As long as it's for emergency use, or corporate use. Corporate, like White's Construction, they'll get those same prices too because of the quantity that they buy.
Our assessor was looking at a vehicle, or I think taking over the emergency management vehicle. I'm just wondering if it's worthwhile to do that or go through the program and buy a decent vehicle.
I don't know that the assessor would do through that, but let me ask. I don't know that that's a definite no. I just know a lot of emergency services and corporations get the same price.
Sure.
But,
I have no
let me
problem.
ask. I mean, if we're buying it through the county government, it may qualify.
So you're asking us about our blessing to go ahead and go forward?
Go ahead and order our 2022 vehicles, but we won't pay for them until they come in.
And the county, or the council approved the budgets for that line item? Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
And he's given us the same price for what we got them for last year too, or for 2021. That's
We have to make motions or
unusual.
something to say it verbally.
There's no specific rule on how you conduct your meetings as long as there's a record of what decision you make.
I have no problem with it.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
That's 2, right?
3 vehicles?
No,
Oh,
you got
two or
two.
3, yeah. The third one is ask your permission and blessings to go to the county council to ask to move money around to buy a jail transport van. Ours is over 100,000 miles. It's a 2006, and it actually only holds 6 people. I would be ordering a new 10-person van with money that's already in a line item, but council has to approve the spending out of that particular line
Appropriation.
item. Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Fine.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
I got a question for you. Going through the claims and the bills that we got, that we approved tonight for the housing of inmates, is that per month or is that for how many?
One of those, which was Benton County, had not billed us at all yet. We still haven't been billed by Clay County, but it's not even going to be as big as Benton. But Benton County hadn't sent us a bill at all, so they sent all of them at the same time. He thought that we were going to be keeping track of it and doing it ourselves. Invoices come in, we have our jail commanders go through it to make sure that it's accurate. We get the errors fixed, then we submit them to Brenda and Garmon.
Well, right now, it's being paid out of DOC money though, right?
It hasn't started yet. The next ones will.
We did this
I
Oh,
thought
did they?
this-
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought I saw.
Yeah.
So my question to you
We're
is,
also holding more than what we had figured on too.
That's my
I
question.
configured that with 68 people, and we're now at 94.
my question to you is, the money is budgeted for holding those inmates during the time of the jail. Are we going to be on budget with that, or is it?
Right now, we're fine. That's $1.2 million, so we should be a little ways away from that for now.
I'm just saying, do you
And
see?
we're also hoping to move back some of the inmates a little earlier when they get the southeast corner renovated.
Next July
We'll be able
or
to bring
something.
back 30 to 50 some, which will bring us back in line with that.
Well, the other thing is that the DOC monies are going to be used as opposed to the bond money being used here until it's used up, or whatever the case may be. So that was not planned on initially with that 1.2 million, correct?
Yeah, the DOC, I hadn't put the DOC money in it. They did that
Right.
after the fact.
Right.
Well,
So
I'm
we're should be
using
in good
that instead
shape.
of.
That's what I was asking.
Instead of borrowing that amount of money, we're using what we have, so it lowered the total amount that we got bond or sold bonds for.
But originally it was having 60 to 70, now we got 90, so, I
94.
mean, you're still gonna be able to, the budget still be
Well,
okay? That's
I
my
think we
question.
need to have a meeting with the prosecutor and with the judge also, and see where we're going with all this. To say that we got 94 today, tomorrow we may have 2.
Yeah, you have people come in and go out constantly 24/7. I mean, 1 or 2 at a time.
But we need to sit down and have
Yeah.
a little discussion with them and see where we're going with this.
What's your view of the jail? Everything going pretty good?
It's right on schedule. Any issues we've had, the superintendent on site has quickly taken care of everything. Tried to get a deck, but they said no to that one. People were making fun of our porch. Had to do something. You couldn't get in and out of the trailer while it was raining. But no, everything's. I did a walkthrough yesterday, and I have a question or two that, I'd like to talk to Brent about in the background, but nothing major at all, just a couple things I don't understand, but they say we're on schedule, there's work going on all day long. I mean, you can see the progress. I've been taking some drone shots with it, and you'll be able to see it as it goes along.
Right. Okay.
We have the jail for Delaware County. I think we need to approve the contract.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Delaware?
I'm glad you
Am I
brought
right?
that up, yeah. Yeah, this one, I didn't find any hiccups in it personally. I'm assuming John got to see it.
Which one?
Delaware County.
Yeah.
Inmate agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
It's pretty standard.
So
A little bit longer than the one we did for Green, but
what is it averaging on the inmates in housing? $25 a day or $35?
$37.50 or $40 a day. There's
Okay.
two counties are $40 a day, which is
Max.
legally within their realm. The others are then $37.
Okay.
Now the ones holding a couple of them that are holding the $40 a day are more willing to take the not so desirable inmates a lot of the time too,
Right.
which is hard to get rid of.
This is an ordinance, and we've said that we're going to read ordinances and not approve until the next time. I think that we should forego that rule on this particular contract, assuming we agree or approve it, or disapprove it for that matter. So I'd like to make a motion on ordinance 2021-34 of Du Bois, the Board of Commissioners with Du Bois County, Indiana, establishing county commissioner and county council districts for. No, that's not right.
Yeah, this is a
Scrap that.
interlocal government agreement.
Yeah, where's it at?
That was a sample of.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I saw it. There it is. Scratch that last thing. Okay, an interlocal government agreement between Delaware County and Vermilion County regarding inmate housing. There we go. I make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement between Delaware County and Vermilion County regarding inmate housing. Dated, I don't know, November 1st, 2021 is the date on this original.
I second. Any other discussion here?
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Is there any other things we're going to try to do on here tonight or not? What about the need for the credit card and auditor's office? Please go to the podium.
Brenda Furry, auditor. First off, I have the contract that I need you to approve for Baker Tilly for the scope of work is for the American Rescue Plan. This is a maximum, not to exceed $25,000. This has been, you've seen this, it's been back and I've been gone and issues and tried to figure out. I wanted to confirm that the ARP monies that we were receiving from the government will pay for this, and it will. So this is 100% paid for with the actual ARP money. And this is for Baker Tilly to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and it's not to exceed $25,000.
Is that per year or?
It's for the term of the.
Okay.
Of the.
So it's 2 year.
Yeah.
2 year deal.
Is this for the?
$30.1 million COVID money.
The $3 million.
ARP.
So they're for them to account for the ARP money? Is that
Yes,
what it is?
it's to help make sure when I go online and I do also make sure things change. It's changing daily.
Sure.
What we thought we could purchase with the roughly $3 million, now we can do more, and now we can do less, and now there's certain rules, and it's just changes, and it helps to keep it on task and keep it.
Did they put into that contract the persons that'll be working on this?
Let me see.
Is this the one that you sent us?
Yes.
I've read.
Yeah.
That didn't have that in there that I recall.
Jason will be working on it. I believe Andy Mauser was another one that I spoke with.
Did they put that in the contract?
No, no.
I don't have any problem with it, but I'd like for them to list who's, and I told them this before, that list who's gonna be working on the contract,
Okay.
not just everybody under corporation.
Yeah.
We'd
Yeah,
like
or
to
the
know who
point
it
of,
is.
point of contact for us would be X person with them.
But it's not just a point of contact. If they're having directors work on this, it's one rate. If they're having an assistant work on it, it's a different rate. I'd like to know where in there that we expect to see people, so when we start seeing names at different places or different people, that we have a question of why that person's working on it.
But they're quoting a flat rate, 25,000.
It's not to exceed rate of 25,000,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
That's not a flat rate.
Correct.
It would be a flat rate probably. It'd probably be
Well,
25,000.
you may be right, but.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a breakout if they're going to be.
Well,
Yeah.
any contract we've done, or I've been a participant in, they always ask for milestones, they always ask for who's gonna be working on my project, so I know who to expect to be seeing their names on there. So if that's in there, I'm in agreement with it, or I'm in agreement with it anyway,
Yeah.
Okay.
but they need to add that section to it if they have not.
Sure.
What it is, there will be, just so you all know, we received, I think, $1.5
5.
million, probably around March or April, maybe May of this year. Next year, we'll receive the same amount. And there's a lot of requirements with that money. And if we get out of compliance or something, this is a cheap insurance on $3 million to kind of alleviate some of the questions that, you know, we could make a mistake and have to pay a bunch of money. At least we got someone overseeing it. I think it's cheap insurance. You agree, Britton?
It's the same thing we do on our Crossroads
Yeah.
grant and all that, so that, yeah, that's fine.
So we just need some clarification. Other than that, it's
Just list who's working on the
You want
project.
specific names on who's working. Okay.
I had that discussion with them before, and they should be putting that on any contract they send forward to us.
Okay.
So,
okay. Okay, so sounds like you're in good shape there.
Okay.
What about the credit card?
The credit card, the lift, the handicap lift downstairs, and the elevator is through Homeland Security, the certification, and they come and check it. The only way they take payment is with a credit card.
They can't take cash anymore?
Nope.
This is Homeland Security doing this?
Yep.
We've had that issue before.
Yes.
And it's been there a long time. Every time we've had to do it. So I don't have no problem
I
with.
have to like it.
Huh?
Doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, I don't either.
I know.
But I wouldn't have. So you'd need a credit card and then put a limit on it of what? You know what I mean?
Do we have, before we get
No.
to that, do we have, other people have credit cards for the county, from what I understand, correct?
Correct.
Do we have a listing of who has those and to what dollar amounts those are?
I'm sure that Annie has those. I do not.
But you don't have one.
I don't have one, no.
You don't have one to handle that situation.
No.
How'd they handle it in the past? Did the auditor have it?
I think someone paid for it and we reimbursed them or
Yeah.
something.
Is that
On
what
their own
happened?
personal card or something. They shouldn't have to mix their personal, but
I agree. The credit cards are a bad thing to have, whether it's public or private. But
I wouldn't see no issue with it. Just figure out if we knew what a limit was on it, you know, and it's gonna show up anyway on your claims, so.
Well, we'll get the paperwork and stuff, and want to start that.
how much
before
how much is the
The inspection.
inspection?
See, that's an Annie thing.
Okay.
I don't remember.
It seemed like it was only like $120.
You know anything about that, Mike?
We have credit cards, and I believe the treasurer's office, a couple others do too, but we've had them since before me. Ours has got a $4,000 limit on it. There's 4 cards on one account, but we have people transporting, they're going to training long distance, takes care of the meals, we set a limit on each.
Okay.
Who are they through? Are they all on, who are they through?
Sheriff's office.
You know, I mean, what bank?
Oh,
American Express or City or
UNB. Ours is through UNB.
what's UNB?
I don't, it's the name, that's where we log in at anyway. Let me check with Mary and I'll get an answer for you.
I'm just wondering if we should keep our card
Seems
instead of
like
having it
they
in
were through
10 different banks.
Financial, if First Financial was the one that set them up for us initially, but now we deal directly with that company. I'll get you a definite answer.
They are a subdivision of First Financial, because my tax people, their investments are coming from USD now.
So it was through First National possibly?
That's not where they started, I know
Sure.
that. I just know that we deal with it all online now, so.
Okay. I just think it'd be easier with one bank than 10 banks trying to reconcile.
So you don't know what the charge is,
No,
you don't
no.
know what your limits are. Could you?
That would be
You
all.
have to do you need it right now, or can you get it?
No, I wanted to get approval to go get the application and move
Okay.
forward with looking into actually getting.
Do we have a monetary policy for that? The county?
As far as?
Credit cards, county credit cards?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely.
Are you following it?
I
She
don't
ain't
have
got a
one.
credit card.
I don't have one. But the others do, yes.
I have no problem with it. We've had this problem before. I know in the past, and I don't know how they worked it out, someone paid for it on their own card and then they got reimbursed or something.
That's the way I've done it since last January, and I've been asking about that. And I've always been told I had to spend my credit card.
That's something we can address, because I'm not familiar, but I think it's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, if we need to do that, so be it, but it'd be nice to have a policy of what we're doing, or know what that policy is.
Yep.
I'm not sure that I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there any research that we could find out about what it is?
It should be in our handbook, I would assume. I'm only assuming that it should be in the handbook.
That's a bad word, ain't it? Assume.
Yeah. Handbook, I thought that's what you
I
meant.
thought it-
I have no problem with you pursuing that.
Okay.
Just to get verification, how much your limits are and all
Yep.
that,
Yep. Anything else?
You okay for
I
her to
don't-
pursue this?
Yeah, if that's the only way we can pay for things. I
It's
guess
been an issue in the past. For some reason in my mind, I remember it coming up.
I just like to know what our
Yeah.
policy is, and I need to go back and read that and find out what we have decided. And as long as we can count for it. What I've seen, every county that has credit cards, it always makes the paper. Somebody went out and bought clothes and whatever, and now they're
Not
having to
Vermont
go
County.
after them.
Not Vermont
That's because we now had credit cards, probably.
Well, others.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on. The Elanco is not here, right? Or are they here tonight?
That was last week. That's
Well, it's on the
last-
agenda. I'm just going down through it. That's proceeding, I think. It's proceeding pretty good about Elanco and what's going on with the redevelopment.
Tomorrow, starting at, I think, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, county council's meeting, redevelopment's meeting, economic development's meeting, and then after we get done, there's the shareholders, or whoever
Okay.
it is, meet, and then tomorrow is D-Day though.
But from your standpoint, it's moving along like it should, and you feel good about it?
We're right on schedule.
Okay. Good.
So far.
Okay, does this county home lease discussion's gotta be done today, or can we?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're
Do what?
running out of time with it, put it that way. We, need to send notice that it's gonna be up for, if we want to, assuming that we're wanting to lease the community or the county home grounds. If we're not, then no. If we're not gonna re-up the lease, or if we're not gonna lease it. So we need to send notice that we are, so that he knows that it terminates December 31st, and that a new lease will be available come January 1st, depending on
Well,
bids on it.
why don't we do it? Has anyone here got anything you want to speak about or talk, even new business, so you can leave? I don't want to, we're holding some people up, and we don't want to do that. You got some new business?
Just listening.
Huh?
Today. I'm just listening today. I was actually interested in the comp plan. I was just to learn more about that. I thought that was
In the
on your
what?
agenda. The comprehensive plan that you guys put together.
That's been
the area planning commission.
Yeah.
That's in
I'll
their
be there tomorrow
ballpark.
too.
Yeah, that's kind of.
That, if I may, 'cause I'm in there. Tomorrow, we're having our regular meeting, and then we have another work
workshop scheduled for, I'm thinking the 22nd. But we, huh?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we had a workshop on the 4th, and then tomorrow our regular meeting. I don't know how much workshopping we're gonna do, but then we do have another one scheduled for the 22nd. We made it about halfway through what they had come up with at our last workshop, so I figured the next one, we should finish it up and then get them to make the changes that need to be changed.
Here's a comprehensive plan update from Penny Carpenter. I'll read it real quick. During the October APC meeting, both Eric Smith and Jonathan Smith from HWC were present. A draft was presented to the APC members without comments and corrections they received during the April 8th, 2021 APC meeting. It was agreed that the draft is still number one, APC scheduled. It was agreed that the draft is still draft number one. APC scheduled a workshop for November the 4th and started going page by page. The draft received on 11/4/21 with comments and corrections for the April 8th meeting. The APC was able to get through pages 39 to 89 of total, 39 pages of 89 total pages. There's another workshop scheduled for November 22nd, beginning at 6, with the doors opening at 5:30. We hope to get through the remaining pages during this workshop. The deadline for ORCA grant is April 2022. We hope to have the document that is adoptable before the deadline. That's from Penny.
What was the Okra day?
April 2022.
I thought it was sooner than that.
So that.
I think they have to have a copy of the draft before, but I think the way I understand it, that the 22nd of April, or April 2022, that is it. If we haven't submitted something that you guys approve, then the grant
has to be paid back.
Okay.
Is that the end of April, or is there a date in April?
That's a good question, Britton. I couldn't tell you. I wasn't sure.
The deadline for the OCA grant is April 2022, so they don't say beginning or ending, so assume the first. Anything else, John, you got to say about that? I mean, thank you. Really, thank you. I mean, anybody else got anything you want to deal with, and so you can get out of here if you want to? Anybody?
We haven't.
I'm just saying, if anybody got anything else, they can go. They don't have to stay.
Thought they were all getting up to talk. Memorandum of Understanding with Thrive. We need to sign that tonight.
Okay,
we approved it last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess it was.
Okay, but did we find the funding for that?
We have the funding available.
Okay. Make the motion and we'll.
We already approved it subject to funding. We just need to sign. We need to sign it now.
Okay.
So if we can find that document and to sign it, we've already approved it.
Okay. Is there anything we can just let any of this go, or you got to go through all of it? It's getting late. Try and get this done.
We have to approve the community crossing grant payments, I think. Right?
There were some things that came up I didn't know was there, and I think we need to investigate that more this week.
How long have we had those invoices? How long have we had the invoices from Reith Riley and from Clark Dietz?
I had no problem paying them, but there's still some issues.
Yeah, but we may need to pay at least 90% of it if we're not.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
We can hold the retainage. Thought you had that on top of your head.
No,
Wake up, Eric. Is this paper going to be dedicated to the Vermillion County Commissioners?
What'd he say?
That should be interesting.
We have it on the claims for this month. I signed them and it came out, I think, almost the whole amount. Or was it 90? It was on your email today.
Yeah, I saw that.
I had the total. I think the total was almost.
But do we need to do anything more than approve that claim? Okay.
But is that 90% or is that 100?
No, that's 100%.
Do you want to go 90? and change that, or do you want to? I mean, if they,
I don't know what I don't have any problems in District 1 that I know of.
Okay, I thought there was.
But I don't, in District 3, Colby had none. John had something, but I thought that was, I don't know.
Well, when we
that.
went
I don't
out,
know the
it wasn't
resolution.
mentioned, but after that, they said they was supposed to pay farther that they didn't do. According to, and that's where Clark Dietz ought to be looking at that and saying, you guys did or didn't. And if according to the contract, according to Community Crossing Grant, if they didn't do it, then we're not getting it done, and it needs to be done. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we need to,
Yep.
we're out of time. I mean, there's just no asphalt right now.
Yep.
So what are we doing with it? We going to hold them to come back next year and do it, or?
Well,
I don't know how much dollars are involved in this.
I'm saying go ahead and pay the 90% now, or you already got the claim.
Actually, Annie just messaged me.
We just approved
It's going out Monday.
Okay.
Well, we've already approved payment. Are we going to withdraw that payment then?
No, I think we can still work with them.
How many dollars are we talking about? Or
Okay.
how many linear feet of road, or what is it?
I'd have to talk to, because when I went out there, that was not discussed, and Lawson didn't bring it up, so I didn't realize there was an issue there.
Until today, I didn't know that there was a issue with a center line of some sort.
Center line, we got that resolved.
That's the only issue I knew of.
Yeah, they kind of drifted when they went down the road, so they're putting a center line down to make it look decent. I don't have no problem with paying them. We can resolve this.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get it done this year if they're going to go back.
Yeah, we really need to close it out and move on.
That's why I'm wondering what the dollar amount was, so.
That's something that Clark Dietz need to be addressed, because that's what we hired him for, correct? To oversee.
Depending on yes, we asked them to oversee it. If there's a miss there, then it sounds like it would be Clark Dietz.
Okay.
But we still have to get all the facts together to
That's
see
what
what that is and why it wasn't done.
I think if the funding's already going out, it's going out. Don't stop it. We can work it out with them.
Okay. Are you going to talk? Did you talk to Clark Dietz already about this?
Not yet, because I was waiting to get the information from Lawson exactly. I need to go out. I'm off for 15 days, and I'm going to be out that way. I can go out and check and see it myself. But that was not discussed when we had the closing meeting out there with Clark Dietz. John Lawson saying about it, that part. And so I was thinking, why didn't you say when he was out there, you know? So that's
Are you
what
going to talk to Clark Dietz then? After
yeah,
that?
I'll talk to John and talk to Clark Dietz for. Now, I'll CC you on all the stuff I do, so you're kind of overseeing that, so you'd know.
Okay.
Okay, what else we want to do here? We need to get out of here. We did everything on the front page, right? Yep. Yeah. We're down the front page, and we're on the back page. And the county home lease, is that something you say we need to have it done before the first year to put it out for bid? Or
if
we
we're
don't,
going to do it, yes.
Would you have a problem with just leaving it the way it is for another year?
The county's exposed. There's no insurance or any type. If he goes out there and cuts every tree down, burns it all down, or whatever, I mean, there's just no liability. But there is just no liability regardless of what it is. It's not a good lease.
Okay.
The old lease actually covered the jail. If I remember, if we left
Yeah,
it
it
we
was the
didn't do
jail.
anything.
The jail was being leased out, and he didn't know it. Right?
Yeah, the only thing you can't do is hunt, I guess, maybe. That was an amendment to it, but yeah, by all rights, he has the jail, and I think the Humane Society, maybe.
So what we're going to do, we need to move on what we're going to do, and we want to, what's
Well,
your recommendation?
I don't know that it's, how much is the lease? $2,000?
Yeah.
Something, it's hardly worth the
Right.
effort. I don't know why we're even leasing it, other than just to maintain it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's maintaining it, for that matter.
I know he maintains the fences because he's got animals in there, you know, and stuff like that, and he cleans it up and stuff like that. I would have no problem just leave it alone for another year and just continue.
Well, if we leave it alone, I think he needs to sign a new lease, though. That old lease is not... John, do you have an opinion on the old lease on the county home property?
Well, I think he's rented it for 50 years. The lease was created because one year the State Board of Accounts says you can't just have a verbal lease, you had to have a written lease. And then over the and that was probably, I think, around 2002, 2003. And then A few, like the no hunting provision was just added 1 year because some people were wanting to hunt there. So it was just something that developed because we were told to create a written lease, so.
Well, anyway, I'm not real pleased with the existing lease that we have. I think it exposes the county. If you want to leave it,
I would,
I just don't, either we shouldn't lease it or have a new lease.
it's not really financially thing, it's a big financial thing to the county anyway.
Well, the liabilities are far greater than the monies.
Right.
I would, I don't know, can we continue the agreement with him under a new lease?
Yeah. As long as he agrees to it too, we can do that.
Well, why don't we approach, if you don't want to change things, and I don't know that's worth a lot of, apparently it's not worth a lot of money, that we either continue the agreement but underneath a new lease, and we provide that new lease, and it does restrict it down to the properties, and
okay.
there are some other protections.
So in other words, the contract would be the same, except the restrictions and liabilities will be different written in that contract?
It won't be the same lease, it'll be a different lease. But it'll just be a continuation of leasing the property, but not under a different lease agreement.
But the same, he'd continue on at the same rate?
That's up to you. If that's what you
I
want.
don't know what's legal and what's not, because it's almost like you're taking a piece of property and saying, we're restricting everybody else, but we're letting you spatially use it.
Well, that's what we did last time.
I know, and that's kind of good. But on the other hand, if you have someone leasing property, you know, you can't, every year you can't put it out.
Well, this one is for a 3-year lease. The reason for the 3 or 4 year lease, and the reason for the 4 years is that it put it into a new administration at that time. So that all the county commissioners are different in 4 years. They can come to a different agreement or continue that agreement, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But it wasn't going to come up every year once we had an agreement.
Yeah, the
That was the
stewardship
intent.
clause just got added 1 year because it was brought up that the Rise was doing the stewardship clause, and somebody said, hey, that sounds like a good idea, let's put one in this, and that's just kind of how it developed.
See, we got another meeting, we got enough time to still do it.
We have another meeting
it's-
after this one?
Another meeting in.
No, I mean
He
a
means
regular
another commissioners meeting.
Oh, I thought it was like, you're on another meeting after this meeting?
It's okay, it's okay.
Sounds like he's asleep.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm saying let's talk about that a little more and we have to make a decision by next week.
Well,
'Cause
if nothing else, we need to send him notice that the lease expires December 31st, whether we continue with the same lease or not. We need to send him at least a 30-day notice or
Right.
something to that effect. If you don't do that, we just keep kicking it down the road here.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's time, you know, we gotta go home sometime tonight too.
Well, why don't we send him a notice that the lease will end December 31st? You agree?
Okay. Yeah, send a notice.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm ready to close this
Maybe
thing
we can
down
time
unless
it, we
there's
can-
something else. Anybody else out there got anything?
You run them all off?
Ought to had the camera turned the other way, you know, and see everybody's gone. I'm ready to close this meeting. It's been
Memorandum of understanding, how can we get that signed?
So,
Do we need to do that tonight, or can you put your finger on it, or?
Can you sign that?
The what?
Yes.
Delaware County one?
Yeah.
These are right here.
yeah.
I think we did. No?
There's some,
There's your
They've
windows.
been holding inmates without it, but
Tell them we don't
Does
agree,
this
and
sit here?
send them back.
I need to sign.
yeah, I think I got a couple of them myself.
Who all needs to sign it? Britton's already signed this one.
I think he's got one down here, so.
You already signed it.
I thought I did.
Oh, okay, well, there you go.
So, this, so 2 signatures all you need anyway, right?
Yes.
Okay. You want to make a motion to close this meeting? I'll give you the honor. You don't want
I want- It's not 10 o'clock yet.
Can I make a motion?
Hey, you can actually call a commissioners meeting
I did.
as an auditor. Unless we have further business, I would like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I second it. All in favor?
No discussion,
No discussion?
No.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Tell me when you got that off. You got it off.